The moon is out. The fans are out. Football is out of a situation none of us wanted to be in. Andy Reid and everybody else oh so excited. We are at Lincoln Financial Field to kick off the NFL preseason. The Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Baltimore Ravens. They, of course, coached by one of Andy's former assistants. That is John Harbaugh. Well, the Eagles are going to kick off, Baldy, and Alex Henry, the most accurate kicker in NCAA history. Almost 90% of his field goals will be kicking off, and he's the first to admit kickoff is a priority for him. Field goals, he's confident. This is something he's still working on.
And he's replacing the all-time leading scorer of the Philadelphia Eagles, David Akers. I'll bet he's got a few butterflies tonight.
But he gets the ball high and deep, and I do mean deep, 8 yards into the end zone. And I'm telling you, that's exactly the start he wanted, and that is the start that his coach Bobby April wanted. Speaking of coaches, Juan Castillo, so delighted to have that guy as he begins his defensive coordinator career. Nnamdi Asomugha, the #1 rated free agency in all of football, Baldy. And as we look at the defensive starters, he's the guy so many teams wanted. The Birds got him.
Well, he was a guy that they took right from the Dallas Cowboys and the New York Jets. A little bit late in the free agency game, but here he is. They play one, locking up Anquan Boldin.
Joe Flacco, the local product from Audubon, New Jersey. Good time to pass, and I'm telling you, he gets off a great throw, and it's a completion to Dennis Pitta. Of course, Todd Heap, the longtime tight end of the Ravens, not here anymore.
Well, I mean, here it is. I mean, right there, Joe Flacco had plenty of time. Great effort going to get the ball, but I mean, you want to get hits on Joe Flacco, and Cullen Jenkins did just that. They'll count hits, pressures, getting around the quarterback, sniffing the quarterback. All those things are charted on the defensive line.
First down and 10 for the Ravens, getting close to midfield, and I'm telling you, this is what Jim Washburn wants to see, a Trent Cole tackle like that, man.
Well, out there in practice, in training camp so far, you could tell the intensity level has been raised throughout the team, but specifically the defensive line. This front four, if you're going to play the style of defense that to play, the front four has to win. They got to get hits to the quarterback. They got to play defense on the other side of the line of scrimmage.
Juan Castillo starting his career as a defensive coordinator tonight. And again, Jim Washburn has stressed, I want guys to really fly to the football. Here are the guys the Baltimore Ravens will put out there that the Eagles are going to hope to fly to when they're involved with the football. And Joe Flacco, of course, we mentioned the local guy from Audubon, New Jersey. But this is an offense that has really dedicated themselves, Baldy, to power football the last few seasons.
Well, Joe Flacco in his 4th year in the league, been to the playoffs 3 straight years. And he's protected very well by a good offensive line.
First third down of the night and a wide open Ray Rice. Ray Rice was great at Rutgers. He was great on that play, and that's not something Juan Castillo will be happy about. Kurt Coleman on the stop, but a big 22-yard pickup for the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, I got to believe this is a blown assignment as Ray Rice came out of the backfield in just a swing pass. He's watching it up on the screen himself right now to see why he was so wide open himself. But look, there has been no scrimmages. There's been no real live. This is the first real live action the Eagles or the Ravens have had thus far this season.
First and 10, Baltimore at the Eagles 29. Oh, and a good penetration by a couple of guys, bringing Ray Rice down for a loss. And boy, I'm telling you, there are so many guys, Darryl Tapp involved, and that is what Jim Washburn has been preaching since becoming the D-line coach.
Well, here's the front four, and watch them. They're rushing the passer every play. They're two steps upfield every play. Now they're playing the run on the way to the quarterback, and that time they reacted very well to the draw.
There he is, Jim Washburn, and I'm telling you, he was a great pickup, as was the new offensive line coach, Howard Mudd. Big second down situation for Joe Flacco. Lots of yardage to make up here. He is under pressure. He is scrambling, and he just gets rid of the football. Derek Landry, another one of the unsung free agents picked up. Great job there, Baldy.
Derek Landry's been in the league. He's played in Jacksonville, but when there was a lot of injuries to the defensive line, Landry was brought in. Nice spin move on the inside. And this is just a screen pass, but they read screen, they reacted to it, and made Joe Flacco eat that ball.
Hey, Huey, I'm telling you.
And you know what, not only that, fellas, you're talking about right now, this D-line is playing much better than they did last year. They're getting a lot of pressure up the field, and now it's working out well for them. They flushed Joe Flacco Now you have to look around for open receiver.
Flag on the play, incompletion, but Hugh absolutely right. That rush, crush, and close he was talking about early on, really apparent in the new Juan Castillo defense, Brian.
Illegal formation, number 74 offense. Penalty is declined. 4th down.
Bill Levy, the referee tonight, getting his first live action for the officials and his crew.
And there's a lot of changes in officiating rules this year. One of the most dramatic and probably the most important, all scoring plays are going to be replayed. There's not going to be a coaching challenge. Every scoring play is going to be replayed. Billy Cundiff, a veteran place kicker who's been around a lot of spots in the National Football League. He is going to do the kicking on the field goal attempt. It's a 53-yard attempt. Punter, Sam Cook, will do the holding. The kick is up from Billy Cundiff, and it just literally sneaks in. So the Baltimore Ravens score the first points of the 2011 much-anticipated preseason. When we come back, a chance to watch Michael Vick direct the Eagles' offense at Lincoln Financial Field. Tonight's game versus the Baltimore Ravens is presented by Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals, the official hospital of the Philadelphia Eagles. Don Tollefson, Brian Baldinger back at Lincoln Financial Field. The Ravens put 3 on the board, but now a chance for Michael Vick, Brian.
Well, you know, it's interesting because Mike Vick didn't have an offseason this year because of the situation, but Andy Reid told me on Monday that prior to the lockout, they gave Mike Vick cut-ups of all of the mistakes he made in protection, pre-snap reads, and he had those the whole offseason. He had a long 4-month, really homework assignment to watch those tapes, correct the mistakes, and he said if he was back in the Minnesota game, back in the Giant game, back in the Green Bay playoff game, he would see things so much clearer now than he did at that time of the season.
All right, back to receive for the Eagles, Johnny Lee Higgins and also Stanley Havili. And another one of those kicks, just like Alex Henry had, but a little bit further. Johnny Lee Higgins just kind of turned and shook his head, and the Eagles will start their first possession of 2011 at the 20-yard line. And take a look at who's going to be out there. Of course, a couple of key guys missing in the wide receiver department, but a great round of applause for Michael Vick as he comes out. LaShawn McCoy, what a season he had a season ago. 78 receptions. Jason Avant, so underrated. Riley Cooper will be out there, of course. No Jeremy Maclin or Deshaun Jackson tonight. And here come your Philadelphia Eagles, 1st and 10. Long count. Michael Vick back to pass. Over the middle and a completion to Jason Avant, who just makes those tough catches, Brian.
Well, he's getting a lot of time to work in this preseason with the absence of Maclin and Deshaun Jackson. This is just a fake to LaShawn McCoy right here. Sets up wide in the pocket. And I was watching Mike throw the ball before the game, and he was correcting his mechanics, Tal. He said, if you aim small, you miss small. Yeah, he doesn't even want to watch the ball leave his hand. He wants to look at the target.
1st and 10 for the Eagles, operating at their own 40-yard line after a 20-yard pickup. Nice way to start it here in 2011. Long snap count, 2nd play in a row, and this time just a very nice toss to Chad Hall.
You know, guys, you're talking about a guy. If there was one guy in this offseason who really hated that there was a lockout, it was Michael Vick. Had a chance to talk to him. He really wanted to get out here and work because he knew that he could get better in this offense. It's just unfortunate they had the lockout and he didn't get a chance to work with Marty Morningwig and Andy Reid. He really gives him a lot of credit for his quarterback skills and growing as a quarterback.
No doubt, Hugh, that he wants to improve upon the great season that he had a year ago.
Schmidt and McCoy double backs behind Michael Vick on the 2nd and very, very short. And they're going to throw the football, and it's knocked down at the line of scrimmage. You know, Doug Peterson, the quarterback coach and former Eagles quarterback, told me, Brian, that in addition to blitz pickup and protection package insights, one of the things they really wanted Mike to learn in the offseason, and they had the cut-ups for it, when to run and when not to run. Don't just run because you can. Sometimes he ran when he didn't have to, they thought.
Well, they also thought that he was running because he wasn't sure what he was looking at. In the pre-snap phase, looking at the defense right now, really seeing it.
It is an inside handoff to fullback Owen Schmidt, and he's got the first down. The Eagles will take over in Ravens territory, moving the football very, very nicely right now.
You know, this is a good test. This is a good test for the Eagles' rebuilt offensive line. Danny Watkins at right guard, Ryan Harris at right tackle, Jamal Jackson back in the lineup. Because this front of the Ravens, for a decade now, they've been as good a front as anybody in football. Corey Redding, Ray Lewis there in the middle in his 16th year, still the most feared player on defense in the league.
Marty Morningwood told me he thinks Nada might be the best D tackle in the line. Free play for the Eagles on an offside. Brent Selleck. Oh, I'm telling you, that was just a nice throw. Brent Selleck with an almost excellent catch. Couldn't hold on, though, but the Eagles will get 5 yards on the play. And Brent Selleck was a guy who had done so much a couple of seasons in a row. And then last year didn't get the ball as much. And that's another thing Michael Vick says he wants to improve upon.
Well, I mean, Brent Selleck was busy last year protecting tackles. You know, really helping out for Jason Peters when King Dunlap was in there, when Winston Justice. I mean, he really helped out the tackles in protection because they really wanted to give Mike extra protection last year so he could really be confident in what he was looking at down the field.
And, of course, the Eagles addressing the right side of the offensive line during the offseason, that, of course, being their quarterback's blind side. Vick back to pass. Looking deep, and he's got Chad Hall way down at the 2-yard line. What a throw. What a catch down there. Excuse me, that was Riley Cooper. But I'm telling you, it is just a great route that Riley Cooper ran there for 42 yards, Brian.
You know, you can go out and practice all the plays you want, but this is Mike Vick at his best right here. Riley Cooper just reacting to Mike Vick scrambling. And remember, it was a pass from Mike Vick to Riley Cooper that ended up in an interception in the playoff loss to the Packers right here in the wild card game that basically ended the Eagles season. Riley Cooper came back bigger and stronger this year, and he's the one big targeted wide receiver that Vick has.
Eagles really want to punch it in. They want those red zone 7 points. And I'm telling you, one thing you think about when you see Riley Cooper making that play is the officials are going to make the call for us.
Timeout, Baltimore.
Ravens taking a preseason red zone timeout there, but think of this, Baldy. If Deshaun Jackson and if Jeremy Maclin gets healthy and you add Avant and Steve Smith and Riley Cooper, what an offense it could be.
Sounds pretty good, doesn't it, Tolly?
We'll be right back. What a start for Michael Vick. 3 of 4 for a mere 71 yards. Ravens took a timeout, Baldy, because they had 12 men on the football field, but Michael Vick very sharp.
He's been sharp, and it's been a little bit of everything. You know, it's been a pinpoint pass over the middle. It was a nice seam throw to Selleck that probably should have been caught. It was the freelance ability of Mike Vick to get out of the pocket. And I've seen him a lot in practice in preseason. His arm right now, Tolly, is as strong as it's ever been. I mean, I don't know if there's many guys in this league that can just give it a flick and the ball goes 50, 60 yards down the field like it did to Riley Cooper.
And I'll tell you, the point I was talking about with Marty Morningwig and Doug Peterson about what they were trying to teach Michael Vick, on a couple of those passes he just completed, he could have taken off and run, but instead completed the pass play. Michael Vick will try to punch it in from 2 yards out. The give is to Shady McCoy, and he's not going to get much because that is a big physical D-line.
Well, you mentioned Haloti Ngata, the Pro Bowler inside, and he's just a tough guy to move. But it's a good workout for the Eagles. I mean, they haven't done any live goal line, live short yardage, so this is their chance to get it right now.
Yeah, you're talking about they're having a little bit of competition at that center spot, and what better guy to go against than Haloti Ngata to find out which center can play that position?
No question, Hugh. The other guy is the rookie Jason Kels, the rookie out of Cincinnati that we'll see in the second quarter with Vince Young.
Michael Vick has Jason Avant split to the left. Riley Cooper, who just made that great catch to the right. Second down and goal for the Philadelphia Eagles. And he's looking for Avant and out of bounds. But that's the thing that the Eagles would really like to see more of, is running those patterns down in the red zone where you really can isolate a receiver, whether it's a fade or another kind of pattern.
See this throw, Tally? This is a throw that they might have practiced hundreds of times in the offseason in the past. Now they've had basically 2 weeks of working on it. So the throw was there. It was a great catch by Avant. Feet, I don't know, maybe it's even worth a challenge. It looked like his feet were in.
And the people here at Lincoln Financial Field seeing the replay are thinking what you're thinking, and the red flag is out. Andy Reid in mid-season challenge for him. I always love the way, in addition to the flag, The whistle. The whistle is so Andy, huh?
You're so right.
No, but here it is. So this is Jason Avant working on Chris Card on the outside. Nice adjustment by Avant.
Oh, that's very, very close. And again, Jason Avant, because of Deshaun Jackson, because of Jeremy Maclin, not a guy who gets mentioned enough, but he just makes incredible catches. Even if this one isn't a score, what a catch.
Looks like he got the right arm under the ball to control it as he hit the ground. And then it's a question, were the feet inbounds? And so it's going to be a tough challenge for Bill Levy and the crew.
Of course, everybody in the NFL talking about how the Eagles signed 5 Pro Bowlers in the first week of free agency. But then last night I was just driving. I got a text from the Eagles PR department, and it's always a matter-of-fact statement.
Yes.
Eagles signed former Pro Bowler Steve Smith. That's very interesting, Brian.
Well, because Steve Smith just 2 years ago for the New York Giants caught 107 passes. He led all NFL wide receivers with 38 catches on third down for first downs.
And he had 15 of those catches against the Eagles, 42 of them against the NFC East, and that was not lost on Howie Roseman and Joe Banner and Andy Reid. They've done such a great job with free agency. If he can be healthy, if he can come back and contribute sometime this season, what a great, great additional pickup by the Eagles Brain Trust. You know, as an Eagles fan, you know what dedication is all about. So does Sovereign Bank. Together with Santander, one of the strongest, safest, and most successful banks in the world, Sovereign is committed to helping you get the most yardage from your money. Sovereign Bank, official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles, member FDIC. Well, we're in midseason form, at least in one regard right now.
The receiver did not gain firm control of the ball till he hit the ground out of bounds. Therefore, it is an incomplete pass. The ruling on the field is confirmed. Philadelphia will be charged, their first timeout.
Take one look at it here, and his feet are good, but they're saying that the ball wasn't in possession when he hit the ground until he rolled up and curled it. So,
yeah, and you know what, guys? This is basically what we're talking about when you're talking about the timing. You know, the offenses haven't worked with each other in a long time. Timing's off a little bit.
Listen, Hugh, actually, look, the Eagles would love to have scored there, but they need work on the goal line. I mean, you got to use preseason here. They're spreading the field right now. You know, get some work down the goal line while you can against a good defense.
Yes, you're right about that, guys. And you know what, you talk about needing work down here. I actually got in trouble for standing in front of the play clock, and Andy Reid said something about it.
But you're not going to get in trouble for this, because that is a Brent Selleck touchdown from Michael Vick. And what a great, great read and patience by number 7.
Well, it's a great throw by Mike Vick. He scans the field, but watch the pinpoint accuracy here. I mean, Ray Lewis is all over Brent Selleck on that play.
This is something that Eagles fans have become so used to going back to the days of Chad Lewis, that tight end, so important in the red zone. Brent Selleck was able to do that a couple of seasons ago. If he can do that a lot, and a happy Michael Vick right there, it'll mean so much to this offense.
Mike Vick, 21 touchdowns versus 6 interceptions, and his 12 starts last year. He's looking to improve all of those numbers this year.
Alex Henry, the kicker from Nebraska, with the extra point, and just like that, your Philadelphia Eagles have taken their first lead of the 2011 preseason. Midway through the first quarter, it is Michael Vick and the Philadelphia Eagles 7, the Baltimore Ravens 3. Have once again been recognized by Beyond Sport as one of the top teams in the world for the impact they make off the field through their Go Green initiative and the wonderful Eagles Youth Partnership. These are some of the amazing supporters that you see right now who make Eagles Youth Partnerships work possible in the community. Big congratulations to all. Well, the Eagles will kick off with a 7-3 lead. Alex Henry, as we look at Howard Mudd coaching up that offensive line, and ball coming from the 35. I think we're going to see a lot of touchbacks this season, huh, Baldy?
Well, we'll do that, but we're also going to see a lot of great teaching of Howard Mudd, because for 37 years now, that's what he's been. I mean, he's an offensive line coach, but he's a teacher more than that.
Henry with the kickoff. Jalen Parmalee. This just might become matter of fact. He drops it. It goes out of the end zone. The Ravens will start for their 20, but Howard Mudd is a guy who...
Hey, you know, Baldy, I know you said earlier you were wondering whether Alex Henry had butterflies or not. I would venture to say no, because that's the second time he's kicked it into the end zone. I think he's pretty good.
I think he is very, very good, Hugh, and very good as well, as Baldy was saying. Howard Mudd right here. And Howard Mudd was retired. He was playing a lot of golf, and he talked about a retirement And he told Andy when he accepted the job, I'm taping my ankles and catching the next flight. Great stuff.
Tally, he was living on Leisure World Drive in Arizona.
Exactly.
That's a hard place to leave.
Especially after all the years he's given to this great game that we love so very, very much. The steady dose of Ray Rice may have begun. The young man from Rutgers just very, very dependable. Pick up a 4 will bring up a 2nd and 6. Hey, Hugh, I understand that Andy thought your wide body might be blocking his view recently. What's that story down on the sideline?
Yeah, you know what, guys? I was standing in front of the play clock, and Andy Reid sent somebody over to move me out the way. That's why, you know, that last little section we had, I really didn't have too much to say, because I was getting an earful from the coach.
You make a better door than a window, though. I mean, he's got a point there.
Stop it. Joe Flacco back to pass, and again, he has a wide open Dennis Pitta for a Ravens first down. And that was probably one of the biggest questions for the Ravens, the loss of Todd Heap, who'd done so great as Pitta comes up with 11 yards. But the new tight end doing pretty well so far, huh, Baldy?
Well, they drafted 2 guys last year in the 2nd and the 4th round, and so it was just, you know, you got to develop the young guys. You got to get them on the field. John Harbaugh feels comfortable giving these guys a chance.
1st and 10, Ravens at the 35. Good yardage up the middle for Ray Rice. We got to know Ray when he was at Rutgers, and he is a guy who has just become a solid NFL back. And I'm telling you, one of the guys the Eagles are most excited about, even though there have been a couple of big gains here on the last couple of plays, Casey Matthews, the guy who has been entrusted with the leadership of the defense as a rookie, Brian.
Well, I asked him if his head was swimming the other day, and he said not at all. I mean, he's about as poised as you can get. He's wearing the electronics in his helmet right now. Juan Castillo is giving him the signals, and then he's imparting him to the rest of the team.
Joe Flacco with the play fake, rolling right, and once again the Eagles are applying very, very nice pressure. Jason, I'm telling you, one of the things that you're going to really see here, Jason Babin is a guy who can just flat out rush the passer.
Yeah, and what you're seeing right now, guys, the Ravens have changed their game plan a little bit. They stopped dropping back so much. They're going to those quick sets. They're trying to slow that pass rush up, throw those misdirection plays to try to get these guys some pass rushing. It's going to be interesting to see how this front 4 handles the adjustment to what Baltimore's trying to do right now.
Well, Jason Babin is a perfect fit for this defense, where the line rushes the passer every play and then reacts to the ball.
Big 3rd down for the Baltimore Ravens and for the Eagles defense. Flacco with good protection initially, but Trent Cole is just relentless. I'm telling you, Trent Cole is a guy, and we don't want to get spoiled by it. He's done it for so long in Eagles green, but he just doesn't quit on a play, and Jason Babin is just doing some great things too, huh, Brian?
But there's great coverage here. If you freeze it right here, Rich, you got great coverage there by Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. Inside, Huselio Hansen. And then if the quarterback has to double pump it, the rush has to get there. Babin gets a hand on him. Trent Cole gets there. That's the way the defense is designed to work on 3rd downs.
All right, the Eagles will get the football. Johnny Lee Higgins making his debut as a punt returner. Just trying to get everybody away from the football. Takes a little bit of a Baltimore Ravens roll, but Michael Vick, after an oh-so-impressive first drive, will come back out and start it from the 15-yard line. 5:33 to go in the first. Eagles up 7-9. His night is over after one very impressive drive, 74 yards and a touchdown. Nicely done.
On 8 plays, and, you know, when the quarterback starts eating the sunflower seeds, their night's over.
Absolutely.
You know, and you can feel good about it. I mean, it was a long, drawn-out offseason, but good efficiency in the opening drive. Got a little sweat out there, got a good warm-up, and I think he did his job, getting his team into the end zone.
Vince Young at quarterback, making his Philadelphia Eagles debut. 1st and 10 for the 15. Dumps it off to Shady. No, that's Ronnie Brown in for Shady McCoy. And just a nice job by a guy who did a lot with the Miami Dolphins, and the Eagles signed him as yet another big-name free agent.
Well, what they signed in this last play was good depth. Vince Young, who's won 30 games in this league over 6 years, 30-17 as a starter. Ronnie Brown, been a starter down in Miami for 6 years, was the former 2nd pick in the NFL draft, had 200 snaps last year, 200 carries, very capable backup, both in the receiving game and between the tackles.
Rookie Jason Kelsey in at center, and Vince Young on the inside handoff to Ronnie Brown. And Ronnie Brown is a guy who did so many things in Miami, and of course the Wildcat was a big part of what he did.
Yeah, you know, but we spoke with Ronnie at practice the other day, and he's a very bright guy. I think he's got some football left, even though he's had 6 really busy years. He's had a couple injuries. He's happy to be here. He came up to talk to us the other day, had a big Phillies hat on, big smile, very articulate kid. And I think, like a lot of guys, they want to come and play for the Eagles. They want a chance to win. They want a chance to play with Mike Vick. He was at Auburn when Mike was at Virginia Tech, and then on with the Atlanta Falcons. He watched him every Sunday, and he thought, what an opportunity.
3rd and short, Vince Young at the controls. The give is to Ronnie Brown, and he will have the first down. And I'm telling you, one of the things that I think we're going to see more and more of right now is the fact that the Eagles are just, they're playing with a lot of crispness. And given the fact that there was so little time in training camp and no off-season activities, I'm impressed with the crispness right now, Brian.
Well, let's face it. I mean, there's been no tackling at Lehigh for the Eagles. So a lot of this is the first full speed that these players have gotten. And I think a lot of guys are just anxious to hit somebody else. You know, they know that the Ravens are good. Howard Mudd gave his offensive linemen some cut-up tapes of the Ravens against the Steelers, had them watch them, knowing what they're looking for, the types of personnel that they have, how big they are up front.
1st and 10 for the 27. Brown, the single back behind Vince Young. Ronnie Brown off the right side. And boy, I'll tell you, big hit there. I mean, a huge hit. But he is still a guy, as it was Donnell Ellerby with the hit, still a guy who's got some moves after a number of years at that position.
Well, this play got started because the rookie center, Jason Kels, did a great job. And he's an interesting story, this 5th-round pick from Cincinnati, because he's an undersized guy, Tom. But Howard Mudd coached Jeff Saturday with the Indianapolis Colts when he was a free agent pickup on the street. And he sees a lot of things in Jason Kels that he saw in Jeff Saturday, the leader of his line in Indianapolis for a dozen years.
All runs so far, and that pattern continues. Ronnie Brown with just a great shape move there. Gets it back to the 30, and Hugh, good stuff, huh?
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I got to say that the Eagle fans might be a little bit excited about this. This has been 5 straight running plays from the Philadelphia Eagles. I can't remember the last time Andy Reid has ran the ball 5 straight times.
Yeah, that might force a trip to the record books, but it's something, you're right, Eagles fans talk about that all the time, but I think with all the additions, they really are going to surprise people, maybe with the mix being a little bit different.
And I think that you have to with a running back like Ronnie Brown. He is not the kind of swing out the backfield kind of back. He can do that, but he's more of a north-south, between the tackles kind of runner.
3rd down coming up for Vince Young and the Philadelphia Eagles, and the Eagles are going to take a timeout right here. And I'm telling you, getting Ronnie Brown was something the fans were like oohing and ahhing about, as it was yet another great move by the front office. 7-3 Eagles late in the first quarter. Visit your local beer retailer for specially marked Miller Lite aluminum pints, 24-pack bottles and 30-pack cans, and register to win flight deck tickets at PhiladelphiaEagles.com/Miller Lite. Don Tollefson, Brian Baldinger, Hugh Douglas, Jeff Skversky from Action News at the link, and lots of changes. As Andy said, he would use the first unit for much of the first quarter, but he didn't use them for all. And out there, in addition to Vince Young and Ronnie Brown, linemen like Austin Howard and Evan Mathis and Mike McGlynn now in the game. All right, big 3rd down test here for Vince Young out of the shotgun.
What a blitz.
Vince Young under pressure, steps up, and it's not just Michael Vick who can run, and Vince Young runs for the first down. Great stuff.
Well, the Ravens came with a corner blitz this time. You see, coming off the corner here, got 2 guys coming, and Vince just steps up right here and does what Vince has done since his days at the University of Texas. Here comes the corner pressure right here. The Eagles do a decent job of picking it up. Now it's up to Vince Young beating one guy in the middle right there, the linebacker Ellerby, and he was able to juke him out and just get just enough there for the first down to keep the chains moving.
Yeah, he did a great job on Donnell Ellerby there. Still a lot of quickness in Vince Young's game, surprisingly so sometimes. Okay, first down, play action. Vince Young this time, he is not going to evade the pressure right there. Number 99, Paul Kruger with the sack.
Freddie Kruger coming off.
Yeah.
It was a 2nd-round pick last year of them, but I mean, he just beats. You can see Austin Howard, the left tackle, who they're high on, except that a lot of big guys, Tolly, came back after this lockout and they were heavy. Because they need the conditioning of a conditioning coach, of a nutritionist and a dietitian. A lot of these guys got to play themselves into shape, and Austin Howard beaten by quickness on the outside that time.
Second and lots to go, if you may say so, for Vince Young. Vince Young with the inside handoff there to Ronnie Brown, and Ronnie Brown still closing with some nice quickness right there. Good tackle from the Baltimore Ravens in the person of Haruki Nakamura. But I'm telling you, Ronnie Brown has been oh so impressive on this drive, Brian.
Yeah, I think he's the big back that the Eagles have been needing for a long time. I mean, he is 230 pounds. He is a thumper. He is a guy that was very good in the Wildcat, and a lot of people didn't realize that Wildcat was designed to run between the tackles, and he's good at that. Slippery and big, and a guy that I think the Eagles are going to be able to utilize.
Yeah, Nnamdi Asomugha was the biggest free agent name, but so many of the other guys are already contributing, including Ronnie Brown. We're through one, and the Eagles are up by 4. Sports Authority is proud to be the official sporting goods retailer of the Philadelphia Eagles. Sports Authority, all things sporting good. Third down and about 15 for Vince Young. Call it 14, just under 15, operating from the 33-yard line of the Eagles. Back to pass, good protection. Again, good elusiveness by Vince Young. Vince is going to scramble, and he has a wide open Chad Hall. And that, again, is an example of whether it's offense or defense, don't quit on a play.
Well, and it's also vintage Vince Young here because the protection was excellent. And I don't know if Vince wasn't seeing the field perfect, but he was able to buy some time here with just a 4-man rush. Eagles do a good job of picking up the stunt. And now the eyes are down the field, and he rescues this play. Going to his left, coming back to his right like that to Chad Hall, seeing him. Believe me, Chad Hall's not the easiest guy to see at 5'8". But that's a great job of Vince rescuing the play.
32-yard completion for the Philadelphia Eagles. Ronnie Brown going wide right, and he picks up 3 or 4 yards, flag down on the play. But Chad Hall, a guy that so many people love because he's an American military guy, went to the Air Force Academy, served his country.
12 players on defense. 5-yard penalty, repeat first down.
So you get a little bit more than you got on the run, and I'm telling you, one of the things that we expected to see, Brian, because there was so little time to get things together before this preseason began, there have been some penalties, but there hasn't been an onslaught of penalties.
It hasn't been awful. And, you know, for a guy like Chad Hall, I mean, to all you kids out there watching and playing the game, if you saw Chad Hall, you'd card him coming into the stadium. He doesn't look old enough, but he can run it. He can receive it. He can, in the return game, he's very effective. He's one of those guys that has a lot of different roles for this team.
1st and 5, a down and distance that you love as an offensive coordinator. But again, it is going to be dedication to the run, something Hugh was talking about, absolutely loving. And hey, Hugh, Chad Hall is listed at 5'8", 187. If he's 187, he's been eating meals with you. He's not 187.
Yeah, you know what? He's one of the smallest guys on the field. But talk about that run by Vince Young. That's a D lineman's worst nightmare, to have a quarterback with that kind of mobility. You think you got him in the pocket, he'll lose you. Now you got to chase him down the field. And now you still have to stay out there on the field. And you got Ronnie Brown out there trying to thump it and run it down your throat. That makes for a long day for any D lineman.
And you know, Hugh, they had an arm on Vince Young, but he is 230 pounds. He shook that arm tackle off to keep that play alive.
He is not a small guy there, Baldy. Not at all.
Ronnie Brown with just a great hesitation move and the stutter step, and I think he may have gotten the first down. And I'm telling you, right now it has been really the Ronnie Brown show. And you know what was interesting, such a great slip move there. There was talk of the Eagles going after, for instance, say a Darren Sproles, but as you pointed out, Baldy, a big back is a change of pace that they can really use.
But look, I mean, the Eagles, and John Harbaugh said this when he was a special Philadelphia. He thought the Eagles kept getting smaller. And I think one of the things the Eagles did this year is they got bigger. They got bigger at corner with Nnamdi and Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie. They got bigger at running back with Ronnie Brown. They increased their size, and I think that's important.
Vince Young with the short drop finds Johnny Lee Higgins. Nice pickup. And Johnny Lee Higgins is the guy who's probably going to be more involved in the return game than the receiving game. But speaking of that, Brian, in 2008, He was named the best punt returner in the league by Sports Illustrated, and he's not a guy that people talked about when they talked about all the free agents. The depth of free agency, great job by the Birds.
Well, Johnny Lee Higgins did take 3 kickoff returns back for touchdowns that year. One thing you know about the Raiders, they draft speed. And Johnny Lee Higgins has elite speed.
Again, it's Ronnie Brown off to the right side, and again, when he doesn't have yardage that's available easily, he puts his head down, and that's something you love. Ladarius Webb in on the stop for the Baltimore Ravens, but so far an impressive drive, and Ronnie Brown again, I love getting his head down on this play ball.
Well, there's Ryan Harris, the right tackle right there. He has a good, decent down block, and Mike McGlynn comes out. Just throw your blade, throw the body out there, make the defensive linebacker react to it, and then let Ronnie Brown find the open space. Glenn, who did a good job starting 14 games at center after the injury to Jamal Jackson a year ago.
3rd and 2 for the Philadelphia Eagles inside the red zone of the Baltimore Ravens. Ronnie Brown tripped up, and on that play it was Donnell Ellerbe, but Ryan Harris is a guy that I think is really going to contribute. He had a nice career in Denver, and Hugh, he's a guy who just seems to fit the Howard Mudd blocking scheme.
This is a great attempt here. I mean, this getting Alex Henry out here, starting to get him in the role of being the field goal kicker. He's not being challenged by anybody. Your 4th round pick out of Nebraska, replacing David Akers. All these kicks he gets in preseason are important.
They're not only important, they are right down the middle and very good. That's a guy who kicked 68 out of 76 field goals in Nebraska, and the Eagles drafted him with high confidence. He extends the Eagles' lead early in the second to 10-3. As we look at the draft choices for the Philadelphia Eagles, these guys are already producing. Alex Henry in particular with the two nice kicks, the PAT and also the field goal. Jeff Skversky from Action News is down on the field, and he has one Michael Vick. Jeffrey?
All right, thanks, Don. Appreciate it. Michael, well, that was short and sweet. One quick series, 74 yards, touchdown. You made it look very easy out there, didn't you?
I mean, that's how you want it in the preseason. And, you know, we was just happy to be back out in the field, playing against somebody other than our defense and getting blitzed every day. And, you know, the game actually felt a little slow out there. It felt good to be out there. I was relaxed, felt comfortable, and, you know, our offense did a great job.
How about that catch by Riley Cooper? He's looking really good. He's been getting a lot of work with you guys in the ones during practice. How much better is he improving here as he's a starter right now?
Well, Riley's getting better each and every week, and I've seen him improve from last year. You know, and the most important thing is his confidence is through the roof, and I think as a player, that's paramount. And, you know, he's just making plays and contributing to this offense.
And when the other guys get back, Jeremy Maclin and Deshaun, how much time do you think it'll take? How much time do you think it'll take to get on the same page with those guys?
I don't think it'll take long at all. I mean, me and Deshaun threw for the last 2 days, and the timing is there. I know he's going to be. I can gauge his speed. We've been together for the last 2 years, so Macklin pretty much the same. Those guys are exceptional players, premier players in this game, and it don't take long to adjust to them.
All right, thanks, Mike. Let's get back to the game. Don, guys, back up to you upstairs.
All right, great job, Jeff. Great job by Michael Vick. And Tandon Doss on the return. Nice tackle by Kurt Marsh. We'll be right back. There's Juan Castillo, the new defensive coordinator of the Philadelphia Eagles, moving over from the offensive line coaching position, Brian. And he so impressed us when we met him up at camp and talked to him at length.
Unprecedented move by Andy Reid this offseason to take his offensive line coach for the last 12 years and make him the defensive coordinator. And we'll get into the story of how it happened.
Tyrod Taylor, the young man from Va-Tech, Michael Vick's school. He is in there getting started right away, and not a great start as Darryl Tapp comes up with a very nice sack right there. And I'm telling you something, this is again that depth along the D-line, Brian.
They're going to play 7, 8 guys each game. They're going to wave them through. And when Andy Reid was looking at defensive coordinators to replace the staff he had last year, he interviewed 22 candidates. 22 candidates. He took his cell phone to the Caribbean, and he was calling them all along, though. He wanted Juan Castillo, but there's a couple of things he had to have in place for that to happen.
Loss of 5 on the play, 2nd and 15 for the Ravens, and Of course, that was a Virginia Tech on Virginia Tech play with both Taylor and Tapp from Va Tech. There's that impressive tight end, Dennis Pitta, getting some of the yardage back for the Ravens. It'll bring up a 3rd and 9.
The biggest stumbling block for Andy to hire Juan Castillo was who's going to coach the offensive line. And there was a timing issue there where he thought he had Mike Munchak, now the head coach of the Tennessee Titans. And then quickly he became the head coach, and he got taken away from Andy.
Tyrod Taylor on a 3rd down play, and there's a pick. This is exactly what you get when you get great pressure. It's the young man from Temple, Jaquan Jarrett. That is just great safety play and playing center field. So well done.
There's Juan Castillo right in the middle of the action.
And the first guy among the players congratulating him, Nnamdi Asomugha. But this is a guy, watch the kick right here, just playing the outfield, Brian.
Well, he's just reading the eyes of Tyrod Taylor. And so there he is in the right place. And he's a guy in Jaquan Jarrett that played a lot of games here for Temple on this field. But never has he come out of that tunnel as an Eagle before. This has got to be just one of those huge confidence builders and one of those things that will make him smile a long time. First game as an Eagle, an interception for an Eagle.
Eagles take over deep inside Baltimore territory. Vince Young just getting rid of the football. Bernie Pollard there with tremendous pressure.
I don't know how that isn't intentional grounding.
It now is. And now, I think it's going to be, the flag was a delayed toss, but I think that'll be the call. Here it is.
Well, what Bill Levy said is that Vince Young was still in the pocket in that tackle-to-tackle gap, and he was just trying to dump the ball and save the sack.
Grounding. Number 9 of the offense. There was no receiver in the vicinity of the pass. Spot foul, loss of down. 2nd down.
You know what, guys? I know this is the preseason. Everybody's still working out the kinks. Even the refs are working out the kinks because we didn't have any OTAs or anything like that. But hey, Barty, the running back was right there. That didn't look like intentional grounding to me.
Well, I mean, that's one of those calls, Hugh, that can be a judgment call. Bill Levy is right behind there that dropped the flag, and he didn't see it that way, but it is preseason like you mentioned.
Yeah, we're all working out our kinks.
Yeah.
Takes it all the way back to the Baltimore 40-yard line. Vince Young, good time, pretty good toss right there, but Johnny Lee Higgins cannot hang on. Coverage by Kerry Williams.
So let me just wrap up the whole defensive coordinator move here by Andy Reid, because really until he could secure the offensive line position, he wasn't going to move Juan. He wasn't going to let him go. And so he started making calls to Howard Mudd, who always seemed to be on the golf course in Arizona. Couldn't get a hold of him. And then he finally put the call to him, and Howard said, yeah, I'll get my ankles taped up. I can be there. And he goes, well, let me make sure that I can get Juan. I can tell him first that I'm going to move him to the defensive coordinator job. And if I got you, then I can make the move.
On 3rd and 26, the Eagles keep it on the ground with Dion Lewis, the young man who's from Shady McCoy's school, University of Pittsburgh, and there is Juan Castillo. And I did a little research, Brian, and I was trying to find a coach who'd had a similar promotion across the line of scrimmage. And Mike Nolan, who eventually became the 49ers coach, son of the great Dick Nolan, the legendary coach, he had a similar move, but they are few and far between.
Yeah, but guys, you're talking about Juan Castillo. I got to tell you, I was a little bit surprised. I know the intensity that Juan brings to the game, but you're talking about a guy who coached O-line almost his whole career. I mean, it was a surprising move, but it looks really good right now.
And nobody works harder than Juan Castillo, not just perhaps on the Eagles staff, but on any NFL staff. Well, this is going to make Bobby April very happy. Now they're going to call it a touchback, but Chaz Henry, who won the Ray Guy Award as the best punter in college football, averaged 45.1 last year in Florida. Well, his first Eagles punt is pretty darn good. Are you ready to experience Turkey Hill's delicious new family attraction? Come learn how ice cream is made. Brainstorm your own ice cream flavor, make your own TV commercial, and design your own ice cream package. Call 1-888-9-TOUR-TH or visit turkeyhillexperience.com. Ravens take over at the 20 after a great punt by Chaz Henry just dribbled into the end zone. Jalen Parmalee with a couple right there, and Jeff Skaversky, the 4th member of our team, as the newest Philadelphia Eagles wide receiver, one Steve Smith.
Yeah, these fans here, guys, used to get after this guy. Now they're for you. How does it feel to be here in Philadelphia and now a Philadelphia Eagle?
You know, it's a little strange at first, but it feels really good. Everybody's been so nice and kind and welcoming, so I really appreciate it.
And you're coming off knee surgery. How long do you think it'll take for you to be ready and be out here on this field playing for this team?
You know, I can't really say exactly how long I think it'll take. I've been making great strides and working my butt off to get ready to be back out here.
Yeah, and I know you worked out with Brandon Graham, so you're a little bit familiar with some of the Eagles. Any advice Brandon Graham gave you as you guys were rehabbing together?
He just, you know, he was always in there working out hard every day, and you know, I was doing the same, so we had some good work synergy, but we're going to continue that here with the Eagles.
Well, good luck to you, and hopefully you guys can provide a lot of offense for these fans here. Guys, let's go back up to you in the booth.
Hey, Jeff and Steve, Tyrod Taylor did that a lot like Michael Vick did at Virginia Tech. 16 yards on the play, first down for the Ravens. Tyrod Taylor, and that's not going to count even though it was dropped because there's a flag on the play, probably holding in the offensive line. Bill Levy is taking a little extra time tonight, as you pointed out.
Illegal use of the hands to the face, number 72 of the defense. 5-yard penalty, automatic first down.
Brian, I want to ask you about the Steve Smith situation, and Hugh, you can jump in as well, but if he can come back from microfracture surgery, and let's say he just becomes healthy and contributes mid-season, the guy in the slot, I mean, he caught, as you said before, 107 passes one year. He could be a monster addition to this wide receiving corps.
It could be. It could be. He also is signed a one-year deal, $2 million guaranteed dollars, $4 million it could be if he has that kind of a season. But he also could be a guy that you could get, you know, draft picks for next year if they don't decide to re-sign him. So you've got options with Steve Smith, compensatory type picks, if he becomes a valuable member of the team. So they've got some options going into next year.
Of course, the New York Giants today, you probably heard, saying some things that they didn't get the chance they thought they would get from Smith's agent. But I get the feeling around the league, and maybe in the NFC East most of all, jealousy is rearing its head.
It's that. And Andy Reid said, look, guys want to come here to play. You know, he said it's like fishing, and fish just want to jump in the boat. They want to come to Philadelphia, and Steve Smith went down the turnpike and elected to do so.
The Baltimore Ravens operating at their own 43. Tyrod Taylor out to the wide open tight end Dennis Pitta, but it doesn't connect, and it'll bring up a second down and 10. You know, Joe Banner's going to be joining us here in the third quarter. Joe has done a remarkable job this year with Howie Roseman in free agency. But he's made the point that guys like Steve Smith, they know about how great this team has done over the years in terms of consistency. They like playing on grass. They like playing for coaches like Andy Reid. And a lot of them have already talked, Steve Smith being one of them, as we look at Joe right there, about the fan base here. You want to play for fans like this, Brian.
No question. I mean, let's face it, the Eagles are spending just as much as what you're allowed to spend up into the cap amount.
This time Pitta does make the connection, but it's for a very, very short gain on the play. And I'm telling you, that Eagles defense was taught immediately by Juan Castillo, and he talked to us about it up at Lehigh. Fly to the football, and so far first-teamers and backups are doing exactly that against the Baltimore Ravens.
Well, it all starts with Jim Washburn right there. Right here, who's never happy.
Absolutely.
Never satisfied.
I was just going to say that. He's perpetually displeased with his players, and they do not expect a pat on the back. He just wants to make it better. All right, 3rd and 8 for the Ravens. Tyrod Taylor back. Going over the middle. It's going to be short of the first down by a couple. On the catch, it was Camden Doss. Hugh Douglas, what's going on down there, brother?
You talk about Jim Washburn's defense. You've seen right now Tyrod Taylor back there. A couple times he's had happy feet. He doesn't have the time that he would like. Trying to go to the shotgun. That's what happens when your D-line is getting after the quarterback on every play. You can see Jim Washburn hasn't been here this long, but this defense looks totally different than it did last year.
You would have liked to play in this defense.
Man, listen, I'm sitting down here and I'm starting to get the urge to play as we speak.
You sound like
you hear this crowd yelling and screaming. I think I got one left in me.
They just moved because they thought you were out there.
And you know what, guys? This is what Jim Washburn's defense does for you. When you're getting off the ball every play, you make the offensive lineman nervous. And they jump and make stupid penalties like that. Hey, guys, this is what it's all about right here, getting after the quarterback.
Nice stuff as Juan Castillo very proud of his guys. O'Neal Cousins was the tackle who moved early, and it goes now to a 4th and 7, and so it'll be a punt from the Baltimore Ravens, Brian.
The way this defense is structured, the way Juan Castillo is patterning, it's like the Bears defense right now. It's like what the Colts have been under Peyton Manning. It's what the Buccaneers were when Warren Sapp and Simeon Rice was there. A front four dominated front four that rushed the passer every play. And when the front four wins, the defense can be very good.
Johnny Lee Higgins watches that go into the end zone. So the Philadelphia Eagles will take over their own 20. They're up 10-3. Fans, check out the Bud Light Eagles Nest at Lincoln Financial Field. Go to PhiladelphiaEagles.com for more info on how you can win tickets. Bud Light is the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. And I'm Don Tollefson. Yeah. I'm the little guy. He's Brian Baldinger, the big guy. And Brian, of course, a veteran NFL player, played with the Colts, played with the Cowboys, played with the Eagles. Have you in your career ever seen anything like what the Eagles did in assembling this roster this quickly?
No, I've never seen that many prime players arrive in one place in one short period of time, basically a 5 or 6 day open window, and the Eagles were just poised to be able to pluck some of these guys.
Sorry, Baldy. Mike Kafka with the nice toss to Chad Hall. And speaking of great acquisitions, Jeff Skversky's with one of them right now.
Yeah, hey guys, we're down here with Nnamdi Asomugha. Well, your first game here at the Link as an Eagle. How does it feel to put on this uniform and play in front of these fans?
It felt good, coming out here. You never see it this packed for a preseason game, but everybody came out. Obviously, there's a lot of excitement for this season, so it felt good to come out and finally get some work in. After only practicing 3 times and just getting here about a week ago, it was a little strange saying, "Oh, we're about to play a football game," but it felt good to go out and get the plays in that we did.
And are things slowing down for you as you learn a new defense?
Yeah, they start to slow down the more you do it. First day, things are fast just because you don't know exactly what's going on. You don't know the calls and the coverages, but I've been in it now, like I said, about a week, and so it's coming much better now.
And when you look at all these acquisitions and all this defensive guys you have, is this Super Bowl? Is this a Super Bowl team you guys have right here?
We have a very talented team, and we have great coaches here. And anytime you combine that with a first-class organization like we have, then the sky's the limit. So obviously the goal is to win it all, but it's August 11th. We still got a lot of work to do.
And how does it feel to be on the Sports Illustrated cover?
Yeah, that was cool. Everybody's coming up and trying to get me to sign it. It was cool. I'm glad it's out of the way now. For a while there, it was like the only thing that people were bringing up. But I just want to play football and do my best for the team.
You have a lot to worry about football, and of course finding a place to live. Is only your second day in Philly? You've been most of your time up in Bethlehem.
This is my first day in Philly, actually.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, first time in Philly since we played. I mean, we played here. I've been here once in 2005. I played against the Eagles, so I played in this stadium. But yeah, this is my first time here. I've been in Bethlehem. So, I'll find a place and I'll be fine.
Nice. Well, we're happy to have you. Enjoy the rest of the game. Nnamdi Asomugha, Jeff Skversky. Let's go back up to booth, guys.
He is so impressive. Mike Kafka on the 2nd and 7 here, and I'm telling you, he saw a wide-open Donald Lee right there after a couple of earlier nice plays from Dion Lewis.
I wonder if Nam would want to live with the fan, the way that Chad Johnson, now a member of the New England Patriots, he was looking to see if he could live with the fan for a couple of weeks. I bet you there'd be a lot of people in Philadelphia that would open their doors to Nnamdi.
Oh, I think a lot of young women would be interested in having him as someone they could cook for and maybe take care of a little bit. But he's so versatile, he would probably cook for them. He is just a great, great guy. And there is another nice run from Dion Lewis, a 5th-round draft pick, and I want to talk about that in a moment. But first, coming up at the half, Jeff Skversky will take a look at Juan Castillo's great rise through the coaching ranks. Then Baldy and Hugh will break down the first half stats and storylines as we have the 2-minute warning here. Dion Lewis really, really doing a nice Ronnie Brown-like job on this drive. The Philadelphia Eagles are up by 7 on the carry out a large 1-topping pizza for only $7.99. That's a large Papa John's pizza with your choice of 1 topping for only $7.99. carry out only. Don Tolles and Brian Baldwin, your Hugh Douglas at Lincoln Financial Field. Hugh, your thoughts so far on this first half by the Birds?
You know what? The biggest thing that jumps out to me is time of possession for the Philadelphia Eagles. Well over 18 minutes of time of possession. You talk about a team that hasn't really had a lot of time to work together, but they look pretty good tonight. Baldy, what are you thinking? What jumps out at you?
They just look very well coached right now. I mean, they had the intentional grounding penalty, but they've gotten on and off the field. They're on to their third quarterback right now. No turnovers right now. A very clean game for the Eagles. And I think the Eagles had a very good game plan and how to adjust in a lockout shortened off season, and it looks sharp right now.
They absolutely do. 2nd and 4 in Ravens territory. Mike Kafka, who has a very, very nice arm, but he didn't see the safety help coming over. Bernard Pollard is going to have a big, big return out close to midfield for the Baltimore Ravens on that play. But Mike Kafka is a guy who they really, really think has a bright future. But right there, strong throw, but a guy right there to pick it off.
Excellent blitz pickup that time by Dion Lewis to actually give Kafka the time. Now, it was a bad throw, and he underrated Bernard Pollard there, who came in when they lost DeJuan Landry in free agency, left that ball hanging as he was trying to go to Johnny Lee Higgins, and he really left the ball short.
Dion Lewis, as you said, had a nice couple of runs, had that nice blitz pickup, and as we look at Mike Kafka right there, who'll learn from his mistakes. We've talked so much about the free agency signing, but kudos to Howie Roseman and Joe Banner and the coaches and scouts finding a guy like Dion Lewis out of Pitt in the 5th round. All right, the Ravens take over with Tyrod Taylor. They're operating just on their side of the 50. Anthony Allen with a short pickup here as we're under 2 minutes here in the first half of the game. The Eagles lead 10-3. Hey, come out to the Eagles 7-Eleven pep rallies. There will be great prize giveaways, appearances by Eagles alumni, cheerleaders, and swoop. Visit PhiladelphiaEagles.com for times and locations. Tyrod Taylor looking to his tight end right there, and it's a snap, nice snap throw to Tandon Doss, who we saw earlier on a return, and that'll move the sticks for the Ravens down to around the 38-yard line of the Philadelphia Eagles. You talk about the rookies, and with the free agents, Brian, the rookies really overshadowed, but Danny Watkins and some others, I think they had a great draft.
Well, you mentioned Dion Lewis. He took over for LaShawn McCoy.
Absolutely.
And his first year,
number 76
was
offense.
a record-setting year at Pitt.
Still
Now, he had a couple injuries last year. They had injuries in the offensive line. His production went down a little bit
outside
last
of
year.
1 minute.
But everyone's going to look at his 5'8" stature, but he's not a small guy. He reminded a lot of people, I think, as they see him a little bit more, of Brian Westbrook and his quickness and his ability to catch the ball.
Boy, that's quite a standard to live up to, but Dion Lewis really impressive on that last drive. Tyrod Taylor under tremendous, tremendous pressure. And I'm telling you, that outside rush, in this case from Darryl Tapp again, this is just something that Jim Washburn in that wide 9 preaches, huh?
Well, here's Keenan Clayton coming inside right here, and Brian Roll, the rookie from Ohio State. They both come one of the few blitzes that Juan Castillo has sent. But Keenan Clayton is a guy that got a chance to play a little bit last year, and he's a talented kid, and he's competing for a weak side linebacking job with Moses Faku. Of course, Darryl Tapp will enjoy playing for Jim Washburn up front on that defensive front.
Jim Washburn, we talked about what he is bringing to this coaching staff. Peter King at Sports Illustrated, who certainly knows the National Football League, in 2008 said he was the best assistant coach in the entire league. That's quite a compliment.
Well, what he gets his guys to do is to play hard every play and rush the passer every play and get to the football. If you rush the passer and then get to the football every play, good things will happen to you. If you can't do those things, and the techniques are very, very easy to learn. If you can't do those things, you won't play.
2nd and 25. Tyrod Taylor again under tremendous pressure. Anthony Allen on the play at the other end. But it is just something that I'm so impressed with so quickly, and that is how these guys have bought in to Wash's system.
Well, here's Darryl Tapp right here, upfield right now. Here they push in the pocket. Philip Hunt chasing there, number 76 from the Canadian Football League. Led the Canadian Football League in sacks this year. Anytime you're making a quarterback move and going opposite of his throwing arm, usually good things are going to happen to you in this league.
3rd and 15 for the Ravens, under a minute to go in the first half. Tyrod Taylor just just overthrowing Torrey Smith. Hey, Hugh, what's going on?
About a long day. Daryl Tapp is giving O'Neal Cousins all the work that he can handle. You saw a couple times he's trying to put hands in his face because he's scared of that get off the field pass rush. Daryl Tapp is doing a great job of getting off the ball. You can see Jim Washburn's hands all over this defense, even in the second and third lines of the Philadelphia Eagles right now.
You tell me why Jason Babin came back here as a Pro Bowler when the Eagles had him 2 years ago and he really couldn't find any playing time. Tell me about this system and why Babin flourished.
Well, because I'm trying to tell you, it's Jim Washburn. Jim Washburn is the guy who took Jason Babin and he turned him into a Pro Bowler. So it was really a no-brainer to come back to Philadelphia. You're going back with a guy who knows you, he knows your strengths, he knows your weaknesses, and he's going to put you in the best possible position to flourish. Bottom line.
Delay a game. Offense, 5-yard penalty, 4th down.
You know, what's interesting is that when we were up at Lehigh talking with Juan Castillo about his staff, it wasn't certain whether or not he would be a coordinator on the field, but the decision is, as Michael Zordich told me earlier tonight, and we've seen Mike, the great Penn Stater and NFL player down there, Wash, Zordo, and Juan are all going to be on the sidelines. There's 2 of them.
And what Juan likes about having Mike Zordich, Mike Caldwell linebackers, Johnny Lynn coaching the corners is these are all former players. Guys that have been out there, they know what it's like. They know what it's like under the battle, so he's going to get a lot of help, and he's going to lean on those guys to start developing some personality on this defense.
You know, you have to, I think, give a big, big compliment to Andy Reid for making these coaching moves because he's now in his 13th year here. He has a remarkable 12-year note that I'm going to mention in just a moment. But here is a guy who said, look, we still are just coming up short of our goal of getting to and winning a Super Bowl. Let me shake things up on the coaching staff, and I think he did a great job, Brian. Johnny Lee Higgins back again. He's going to watch the Cook punt go into the end zone, so the Eagles will take over at their 20. And one of the things that I wanted to mention about Andy Reid tonight, 13th year, there are only a few coaches who have in their first head coaching job lasted 12 or more years with that first team. Chuck Noll, Tom Landry, Joe Gibbs, and my favorite on the list next to Andy, Curly Lambeau. Because when you're the man they named Lambeau Field for, you are an NFL legend.
And all those guys are in the Hall of Fame that you just mentioned. But, you know, the thing I think about Andy Reid is, you know, he's done so much for so many people in this league, giving guys the opportunity. Pat Shurmur, head coach in Cleveland right now. Steve Spagnuolo, head coach in St. Louis. There's trainers around them. John Harbaugh is a guy. Special teams coach. I mean, Dick Vermeil is the only special teams coach I ever saw that ended up becoming a head coach like that. He's given these guys the opportunities to really hone their craft.
Deion Lewis with a short gain right there. Arthur Jones in on the tackle for the Ravens. But John Harbaugh, I guess another guy that was a special teams coach was George Allen.
Yeah.
When you go way back, but it does not happen very much. We're under 15 seconds, and the Philadelphia Eagles are going to take a 10-3 lead into the half on John Harbaugh's Baltimore Ravens. All around an impressive first half. Baldy and Hugh will be back to talk about it during the halftime. But your Philadelphia Eagles in their preseason debut, Brent Selleck and company, they are doing a very, very nice job. We'll be back with halftime activities. Then in the second half, don't forget Joe Banner will be up in the booth for about 10 minutes. Time now, though, for an Action News. We are getting ready to start the third quarter at Lincoln Financial Field. And I'm telling you, this was a great play as we look at, first of all, the fact that there was a field goal that preceded, but then the Riley Cooper, great catch, set up the Brent Selleck touchdown, and then Alex Henry, the rookie out of Nebraska, nailing the field goal. He's looked very, very comfortable. And then the young man, Jaquan Jarrett, a second-round draft pick. Look at his teammates mobbing him. Al Golden from Temple now at Miami said that, Brian, he is the best tackler. Yeah. Best tackler he's ever seen in his 21 years in football.
Well, and right now he is, you know, when you make a play like that, it just galvanizes the whole group. They all want to be a part of it. They're building, you know, a teamwork right here. You're trying to put this team and this defense together. Those kind of plays that Jaquan had, the interception and the run after it, they kind of bring the whole group together.
And I'm telling you, these guys a week or so ago had to wear "Hello, my name is" tags for each other in a lot of instances.
Yes, that's true.
And to see them over there really rooting for one another, and Nnamdi, who's a class act of class acts, he's leading the rooting section right there. And yes, the tradition of touchbacks is going to continue here to start the second half. But that first half was one in which we saw an awful lot of good things from the Philadelphia Eagles, things, of course, that the coaches are going to be working on. And one of them will be Mike Kafka throwing that pick in the first half, but he's coming out behind to start the second half.
Well, Mike Kafka is a guy that they drafted out of Northwestern last year, and the one thing that Marty Morningweg always said about him is a very quick study, and he picked up the offense very quickly. I did have the one interception at the end of the second quarter there, but it's a chance to bring the team out of the locker room here and start the third quarter.
We already have an early flag here. I was impressed, Brian, by the fact is it's offsides.
Encroachment. Number 97 defense. 5-yard penalty. Still first down.
Which will bring up the always popular offensive coordinator's 1st and 5. But the Eagles had been a little bit worried up at Lehigh. Jim Washburn's so aggressive that they were kind of worried that guys on the defensive line in particular might be jumping. It's been the Ravens have been doing that, and the Eagles really haven't had a penalty issue.
No, they've been, but you know, they work on takeoffs every day. Look at the ball. They'll tell you when to go.
Here's Dion Lewis again, and in some ways his performance in that first half maybe even more impressive than Ronnie Brown, and blocking for him nicely on that play, number 73, Julian Vanderveld, also a 5th-round draft pick out of Iowa. Now here is a guy who actually has such a good voice. He sang the national anthem for President Obama at Iowa, so he has a second career if he wants it.
Well, it was the type of player that the Eagles want to recruit. The team captain at Iowa, a 4-year starter, an academic All-American. That's the kind of guys they wanted to bring in this offseason, knowing they weren't going to get a lot of work.
Dion Lewis tripped up, and Hugh, you have just been talking to us all day long on and off the air about really the passion these guys seem to be playing with on both sides of the ball.
Yeah, and it's obvious that they're playing with a lot of passion right now, but what I'm seeing, they're really trying to work on their run block, and this is something new a little bit new for Andy Reid in this regime. They're trying to establish the run a little bit more, and you can tell that they're trying to get these young guys ready for run blocking. I think that has a lot to do with having the big back there, Ronnie Brown.
3rd and short for Mike Kafka in the Eagles offense. Play action. Kafka tossing it out of the backfield to Martell Webb. And Mike Kafka there really sold the run nicely.
Well, it's just a sprint out. You know, just a sprint option right here. He's got a 2-receiver route. He's just on the move, taking this ball from Jason Kels to center right here. They'll play action now. He's just reading this on the run. And really, you're just reading the defense. The defense will tell you where to go with the ball, and their help was open.
Yeah, not only that, Baldy, they're having great success running the football, so it's slowing that defense up a little bit.
First down, Philadelphia Eagles. Mike Kafka on the short drop. And Mike Kafka is a guy, again, that we've been saying before as he got that ball out to tight end Donald Lee. He's a guy that Marty Morningweg has really said is awfully smart.
Here's what's different about this offensive line. They're going to try to create a dish like that. The offensive center, the 2 guards, are setting flat on the line of scrimmage. They want the quarterback to be able to step up with good vision the way Kafka did just on that play. Create passing lanes for him. And nobody was sacked less in football in the last 12 years than Peyton Manning. A big part of that was the techniques that Howard Mudd was teaching.
Dion Lewis, we talked about him after the first half effort he had, but the young man maybe fell to the 5th round because he was banged up at Pitt last year.
Yeah, but this guy is a football player now. And I've watched, he comes out onto the practice field at Lehigh with LaShawn McCoy, and they're sort of joined at the hip. Both guys played at Pitt. Dion Lewis took over for him right there. And I think, you know, LaShawn is looking out for him a little bit. But this is a very confident player now. Don't be fooled by size. This guy has got quickness. He's got good receiving ability. We've already seen him pick up the blitz. That was important.
Mike Kafka out of the shotgun. Good crossing pattern right here. And again, he finds his receiver and hits him in stride, Rod Harper. And that's so important as we look at the route, Brian.
Oh, it's just a shallow cross here. So Harper's going to come in, going to get a little rub right there off the tight end. Look, when those linebackers drop like that, you run flat, you're 3-4 yards deep. I mean, this play is right out of the Jerry Rice days with Joe Montana.
Mike Kafka impressing once again. He threw the pick, but coming back and being very crisp with his passes here. That most recent one to the free agent there out of Murray State, Rod Harper. And again, it looks like the Eagles drew them off, Baldy.
Well, a lot of that is Kafka with the hard count, just the unrhythmic hard count.
Neutral zone infraction, number 90 of the defense, causes the offensive man to false start. 5-yard penalty, still first down.
And guys, not only that, when you're able to run the ball with the success the Eagles are having tonight, it opens up so many other things that you can do. You're talking about those quick outs in the passing game. You're talking about those crossing routes. It just makes it so much easier to play when the defense is on their heels.
1st and 5 from the Ravens 40. Mike Kafka 6 of 7, 54 yards, just that one pick. Oh, that is just, again, a nice route to Chad Hall, and Chad Hall with the reception, but Mike Kafka leading his guys so well.
But watch this here. I mean, there's a blitz coming off the edge right now, and he gets picked up. You can't see it from the end zone right here, but there it is coming off the edge. And he just threw the hot route to Chad Hall that time. Here he is coming off the edge. Kafka knows there's nobody to pick him up. That's his man. It's called a sight adjustment. He's got to get rid of the ball before the defender can come and hit him. He read it perfectly. He delivered a strike.
Another first down. Philadelphia Eagles driving right away here in the second half. Greg Cooper with the run right there, back to the line of scrimmage. And let's take a look at the numbers for the quarterbacks, because the Philadelphia Eagles have already used 3 of them. Michael Vick came out and led that first drive for a touchdown. Vince Young had a nice start in the second quarter there after he played a little bit at the end of the first quarter. And then Mike Kafka now up to 7 of 8 for 67 yards. And then at some point in this football game, we'll see the 4th quarterback, the young man Gerard Johnson out of Texas A&M.
I think what's going to be interesting to watch in the development of the offense is the play of the offensive line. You know, they really addressed the right side of the line. There's some competitions going on at center and right tackle right now. The right guard is a rookie. He's learning, but the protections, I think, should be better for the quarterback this year. Should have more time.
Mike Kafka under pressure just gets rid of the football right there, and it was Lardarius Webb with the good rush there for the Baltimore Ravens.
It's a good job by Kafka here, just recognizing the pressure coming after him. He seems poised in the pocket, and these are the type of reps that, look, they have done a lot of blitz pickup up in Lehigh in just, the last week right now. A lot of drills designed to get rid of the ball quickly, designed to see the blitz, designed to, change the protection at the line of scrimmage when it's needed.
Mike Kafka, Greg Cooper once again the single running back with him on a 2nd and now 20 for the Eagles. Boy, and in between 3 defenders, finding the veteran tight end Donald Lee, another one of the guys a little lower on the radar of the free agent pickups.
Yeah.
But here's a guy, he's got a ring, he's played for a championship team.
And he's a very dependable receiver. There was a time not long ago when there was a lot of injuries in Green Bay with Brett Favre was the quarterback, and he was the go-to guy, and he delivered. But he's a very good route runner. He's been around for 9 years now. Just one of those guys that can give you great depth, and he can step in and play at a high level regardless of any situation.
That reduces it after a pickup of 13 to a 3rd and 7. Kafka rolling out to his right. Oh, and that is just another impressive throw. Great catch by Chad Hall, and the not-so-big man picks up 21 yards. You said it earlier, but this young guy has so much football heart.
Yeah, but that's a nice throw by Kafka right here. I mean, yeah, he's open on the sideline. Chad Hall finds the spot, but really they moved the pocket to the right. Kafka trusted his protection to be able to find Hall.
And you know what, guys, talking about the play selection, you're mixing in a little bit of run, you're mixing in a little bit of pass. You got an opportunity to slow that pass rush up. Then you get a big play like this. You got the defense on their heels, and right now I'm looking at the defensive line of the Baltimore Ravens. Yeah. They're tired. They're looking tired, fellas. What they going to do?
That tongue dragging on the ground there, Hugh?
Yeah, a little bit. That's a bad spot to be in, Baldy, when your tongue's dragging on the ground and your back is against the goal line.
Hugh, you never, ever felt that, because there was never a guy in better
me?
shape than you.
Listen,
in the National
I played
Football
against
League.
quarterbacks like John Elway and Dan Marino and guys like that. Oh, yeah, and you forget this one guy's name, Peyton Manning. Remember him?
Yeah.
He's still playing.
Oh, good
Hugh,
stuff,
how much
Hugh.
would you use preseason, the preseason games, to get yourself into game condition, though?
You know what, and I know a lot of guys out there that I've played with in the past, they'll say that I was probably telling a story, but you need the preseason to get in game shape, especially when you play that 3rd game when you're getting the most run that you're going to get in the preseason. I don't care what anybody says, you need these OTAs to get up to game speed and get ready to be in football mode. I think that for the most part, it really hurt the offense more than it did the defense. But not having these OTAs has put, football back a little bit, and, the timing's not really there as of yet.
But Hugh, aren't you impressed with the offensive line that not only didn't have the OTAs, but has a lot of new players? And they really have shown a little bit of continuity and not a big penalty problem.
Yeah, but I think that's partly because Andy Reid, last week in camp, when they put the pads on, they were getting at it. Andy Reid blitzed Michael Vick, and he made those guys work from the first practice. And I think that's helped them out a lot, because it wasn't like he was just letting them sit back and run their plays. He was telling them, hey, get after this quarterback, get him comfortable for that now. And he did that with all the young quarterbacks, and you're seeing it's paying dividends right now.
Mike Kafka just a little too high for Chad Hall. That had kind of a Harold Carmichael angle on it. Harold, of course, on the Eagles staff, does a great job in the player relations area. But the Philadelphia Eagles still in the red zone, but now coming up with a 3rd and goal.
King Dunlop at right tackle right now. Mike McGlynn at the right guard. Jason Kels, the rookie, at center. Julian Vandervelde, the rookie from Iowa, at left guard. And Austin Howard at left tackle.
Captain under pressure, and it will go as they're going to call it a fumble. Well, this will be interesting. If it's called a fumble, it's going to be going the distance for Lardarius Webb. And he's in for the touchdown, at least for now, was Pernell McPhee, the man who forced that situation. Let's take another look at this one, Brian.
Well, let's just see if he was in the act of throwing it.
Oh, I think his arm's coming forward.
Yeah. I think that might be tuck rule all the way. Forward motion of the arm. Yeah.
I don't think there's any question on that.
This play should be challenged, and it should come back.
Now, this year, of course, all scoring plays automatically reviewed, so we'll hear what Bill Levy has to say, hopefully momentarily.
The previous play is under review.
So this play is automatically, and see, Andy doesn't even throw the red flag because it's automatically reviewed.
So right now it is temporarily 10-9, but I have a feeling it's going to revert to 10-3 Eagles in just another moment. Don Tollefson, Brian Baldinger, Jeff Skversky, and Hugh Douglas on the Eagles Television Network at Lincoln Financial Field. The scoreboard says 10-9 now. I don't think it'll stand, Baldy.
It started forward, and then the ball was knocked out.
He just decided, after looking at it in review, that Mike Kafka's arm was going forward. So it's an incomplete pass right now. It's a good call. It's good review. Good job by the officials.
And I'm telling you, I think that this is an example of where the NFL, they do a great job with their competition committee and with the league office in general. They make rule changes. This one is the one right in the middle there with the scoring play review at all times is now something that the coaches do not have to initiate the challenge. Of course, a lot of controversy last year over unnecessary roughness, hits and the like. And we have an opportunity now to see where there's going to be some new points of emphasis. The referees briefing a lot of us who work in the NFL recently. A dead ball personal foul at the end of the half will be on the third quarter kickoff. But all that is in the rule book. This is on the field right now. A young man that the Philadelphia Eagles came in and got in the draft. They went to the draft and got Alex Henry and the young man from Nebraska. Well, once again, he has shown why that decision was pretty bright. So instead of a tie ball game potentially, it is now a 10-point lead Eagles. Stay up to date with the Eagles by receiving text alerts directly from the team to your mobile device by texting EAGLES to 82565. Rule the gridiron, rule the stadium, rule the air. Verizon Wireless, official wireless provider of your Philadelphia Eagles. Message and data rates may apply. Well, we are honored and delighted to have with us up in the booth for the next couple of minutes Joe Banner, the president of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Joe, welcome. Always great to be in your company.
Pleasure to be here.
And it's always nice, preseason or not, to be up 13-3. We're just going to take a quick look at another, I presume, touchback. Yes, they heard me down on the field. Alex Henry doing just a great job, and obviously, Joe, you put so much faith and stock in your scouts, and to go out and get a rookie place kicker and a rookie punter of this pedigree, they're already proving themselves tonight.
Well, it's great to see. You know, Howie Roseman and the rest of the scouting staff, Ryan Grigson, they just do a great job. We have a lot of confidence in them, so you know, you're not worried that much. We'll have to wait and see, but he's off to a great start, and that's very encouraging.
Before, Baldy, if I can just, one other thing I want to mention on top of that is with so much attention on free agency, the draft kind of overlooked, but free agency was a big splash around the league for you guys this year, but you have a tradition in free agency. It's not something new that the Eagles would be aggressive.
Yeah, I mean, we think everybody realizes we've signed a lot of good players over the year in free agency. Some more mid-level, obviously a couple of conspicuous big signings with the Runyons and Troy Vincents, and, you know, over the years some, you know, Namdi caliber players that we've invested in. But listen, we've always said, and one of the encouraging things watching the game tonight is the key is your young players and your draft and be able to sustain that. That's one of the things that put us in the position to be able to afford some of those players. So I think it's really encouraging to watch tonight and see some of the young guys last year and even some of this year's picks looking like they could be good players.
Joe, this is a very unique offseason, one like we've never seen before, where there was this lockout and then this condensed period where over 500 players were free, and anybody could really go after these players. And the plan that you had, Joe, when did that plan start to take place, anticipating, you know, when there was the lockout was going to finish and free agency started, what you were going to be able to accomplish?
Well, the reality is we started about 2 years ago from a cap perspective, trying to position ourselves for this year. As far as the actual players and the plan for this year, we started talking as soon as the season ended. Started putting names, seeing who the free agents were, who got re-signed. And that was when the specific names of the plan and how to take advantage of, you know, what we considered to be this opportunity started to come together.
Baltimore Ravens moving a little bit here. Joe, in talking about free agency with us the other day, Andy Reid made the point that the coaches, not just the scouts and Howie and his staff, but the coaches were asked to grade players who might become available for the Philadelphia Eagles. And that to me shows a great kind of a team effort off the field with so many people involved in the process.
I mean, I think no matter what you do, if you get a whole group of people who are really invested in an outcome, who you have a lot of confidence in, who can all contribute to the solution, and Andy said it perfectly, that everybody involved in the organization contributed in some way to what we ended up doing.
Tyrod Taylor and the Ravens, again, feeling that Jim Washburn pressure, as this is a defense that they just have so many interchangeable parts, but the Philadelphia Eagles are bringing guys, bringing heat, and really having results, Baldy. Your comment on that play, huh?
Well, I mean, that's what it's all about. It's about rushing the passer every play here, Joe. I mean, that's what's being preached, what's being coached out there. And the front four in this new constructed defense led by Juan Castillo, that's where it all starts.
Yeah, and listen, you're going to see aggressive and you're going to see fast. I mean, you've heard us the last 2 years really talk about transferring to a really young, really fast defense, and I think you're seeing it here tonight.
Derek Landry, another one of those free agents on that play right there. As Tyrod Taylor is going to see that play come back as Bill Levy with the flag, and it's almost certainly going to be a hold on the Baltimore Ravens. We'll get the call from Bill.
Personal foul, roughing the passer.
It is not going to be a hold. It is going to be a roughing the passer on the Eagles, so they'll add on to the end of that. But Joe, we saw a shot of Jason Babin, and when I was up at Lehigh, Jason was probably the most engaged of any Eagle with the fans and all. And I don't think this is a small point, and I know you've made it before. Guys want to come here because of the team success. They want to play for Andy. Now I think a guy like Steve Smith wants to play with Mike Vick. But even DRC said right away, the fans in Philly are legendary in this league, and they help us.
Well, I think anybody, and Brian can probably speak to this, it's a lot more fun to play. And you get this kind of passion and energy, you got intensity from the crowd, you know the whole city cares. Everybody's invested in the outcome. That is very appealing to players.
Baltimore Ravens with Parmalee there with a nice run. Joe, we said it at the outset of the telecast. So nice to say football is back. The lockout is over. But the lockout is over because there were very, very hard negotiations, and ultimately each side had to give something. You were involved, and there seemed to me to be a general consensus once we heard what happened and it was settled, that guys like Joe Banner said, you know, we have got to find a way to not lose a part or all of a season.
Well, you know, we had a great group of leadership, starting with Roger Goodell and Jeff Pash. We had an owners group that people heard a lot about, 10 members of that. That really did a phenomenal job and positioned the game. The players, they really came together when it really came to crunch time and were very reasonable and fair. I was lucky enough, there were 3 people from teams in the league, myself, Bruce Allen, and Rich McKay, that had a chance to work on it. It was one of the most interesting, stimulating, and in the end, satisfying. During the process, rather frustrating, frankly, to have had a chance to be a little piece of that thing and have us back here with a chance to play football.
Yeah, not just a chance to play football, but championship football, Joe. And I think every year the goal is the same here. Every year the goal is to win a championship, and I don't think anybody's been more frustrated than yourself, Jeff, Andy here, that they haven't had it done. Sometimes things have to go right. How optimistic are you this year about what you've done so far in building this team this offseason and trying to get to that ultimate goal?
Well, one of the things you learn is that this is very humbling. So it's a long way between now and February, and a lot of things can happen. But what you want to do is get to this point and feel like you've given yourself a real chance, that you get quality people, you get hard workers, you get good coaches, you get a real shot without fooling yourself to go all the way. And I think we've positioned ourselves to at least have that real chance. Now we have to see, can we come together well? Can we stay healthy? A couple of other things have to go our way, but I think we've got a shot.
Joe, after this next play, we're going to take a look at really the essence of the relationship between the Eagles and the fans and talk a little bit about how much appreciation there is in this organization for the fans. And I preface that by saying, as proud as you are of your football operation, your marketing and your community stuff, EYP, this was tonight. 90 randomly selected fans were autographed team jersey recipients, got to meet Eagles players. Military Day, one of my favorite days, such a moving day up at Lehigh. It'll happen again this coming Monday when the Eagles honor servicemen and women from our region. You can get more information on that at PhiladelphiaEagles.com. But Joe, I think it's been said before, but it bears repeating. The Eagles are doing these things in EYP in the community that are making a difference and respecting the fan base.
Listen, we are very, very lucky. And frankly, it predates us. This city and football have had a love affair for a very long time. I hope we've honored that. I hope we adequately appreciate that, because we feel incredibly lucky. And you see it. We're coming out of a lockout. We get to training camp, and the crowds are just overwhelming. The reactions and the interest in our website, the game tonight. I mean, it really just is an incredible testament to the passion, loyalty, generational. People are teaching their grandkids about their love for the Eagles. It's a great thing.
Oh, this is a great thing right here, Joe, because once again, pressure ball produces results, and you get that kind of pressure, you're going to see an awful lot of great plays made defensively by the Philadelphia Eagles. Tyrod Taylor on the rollout there and stepping in front of him and making the pick, and this is something that you really want to see from a team, is the pressure produces the turnover. Joe, thank you so much. Eagles continue to be up. Hey, Eagles fans, text FLIGHT, PHLITE, to 28130 for your chance to win Miller Lite flight deck tickets and one of thousands of fan flags. For more information, visit PhiladelphiaEagles.com, Miller Lite. And here we're going to take a look at the great pick forced by the pressure. Jarrett Page out of UCLA, the free agent, gets the pick from Tyrod Taylor, Baldy.
Yeah, but he got the pick, but Keenan Clayton had the chase of Tyrod Taylor and forced him out of the pocket, forced him to throw it earlier, a little more inaccurate than he wanted to. And Keenan Clayton is in that competition for a weak side linebacker. Here he is coming off the block. This is what you want. You want to see a bunch of white shirts chasing after the ball, forcing that kind of a throw.
It's that Washburn philosophy as we look at Clayton being schooled up by Juan Castillo. When Juan was the offensive line coach, you'd always see him on the sidelines with the drive board, working with the O-lineman. He's going to keep doing that, obviously, as the D coordinator.
Well, the biggest thing that Juan is trying to instill in the players is techniques and fundamentals win. Disengaging from the block, better tackling. They were not a good tackling team last year. We're working on that every day in training camp right now, and they're trying to improve those aspects. They think that's going to carry over to the game field and then ultimately show itself in wins.
Mike Kafka there to Johnny Lee Higgins as the Eagles operating under the shadow of their own goalpost right now, but glad to do so after ending the Ravens drive. And look at this discrepancy. The time of possession over 10 minutes more for the Philadelphia Eagles. One of the reasons, their ability to run the ball with Ronnie Brown and Dion Lewis.
And they've gotten good quarterback play tonight. You know, Kafka's done a good job of converting third downs and keeping the chains moving.
3rd and 8. Kafka steps up, has a wide open, I'm telling you, a wide open Gerald Jones. 1st down, Philadelphia Eagles.
Now here's an example here of what Howard Mudd wants to do, because this is going to be a flat front of the pocket. You'll see right here inside. Watch Kafka be able to step up in a dangerous part of the field to be able to throw that ball and take the hit. I mean, this is the key to it right now. This is what Kevin Cobb struggled with last year. Eyes down the field. He took a heck of a shellacking right to the rib, but kept his eyes on the target and really concentrate on throwing to that target.
16-yard pickup for the Philadelphia Eagles for another Eagles 1st down. Kafka continuing to throw the football, and even though it was close to being hit before the ball got there, it was another nice grab by Rod Harper. And I'm just so impressed. Kafka with that big pick. Yeah, he had a season under his belt last year, did well in the preseason, but Brian, he's just responded as we said we thought he would to his mistake.
And he does a great job at developing quarterbacks. I mean, he did it with A.J. Felix. He did it with Kevin Cobb. I mean, Kevin Cobb started 7 games, and he got a Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie, a high 1st-round pick, and a 2nd-round pick next year for a guy like people around the league trust that the quarterbacks develop in this system under Andy Reid. And Mike Kafka right here, believe me, these reps are extremely valuable. Mike Kafka may not get a chance to play much this year, but you know what? A guy like Matt Hasselbeck didn't get a lot of chances to play in Seattle, a guy that Andy Reid helped get to Green Bay as a 6th-round pick, and they developed him in preseason and became a frontline starter, and is still a frontline starter. But that's a guy Andy Reid worked on in Green Bay before he came here. He's had a history of developing quarterbacks.
And he's also had a history of developing Pro Bowl players. With all the new ones, he's had 27 different Pro Bowl players during his tenure here in Philadelphia. And right now he has Dion Lewis, the rookie out of Pittsburgh, getting another Eagles 1st down. Jason Phillips on the stop. That's going to do it for the 3rd quarter, and another impressive quarter for the Philadelphia Eagles. As we look at Nnamdi Asomugha, his night ended early, but he's very engaged on the sidelines. Eagles up 13-3, and Jim Washburn continuing not just to coach, but to give some comic relief there on the sidelines. Good. Here you have the scores by quarter for the Philadelphia Eagles and the Baltimore Ravens, all adding up to a 13-3 Eagles advantage. And tonight's game versus the Baltimore Ravens is presented by Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals, the official hospital of the Philadelphia Eagles. And Brian, you and I were just talking in the commercial break. Mike Kafka knows this offense.
You know, he was just a quick study, and then it's a question of, just getting the skills up to speed. But he's got good size. He's 6'3", he's 225. And believe me, I mean, he's taking advantage of these reps here from the 2nd quarter through the 3rd quarter right now. And he's moving this football team. They're responding to him. And it's not a question of what's the competition out there. It's a question of how well he's seeing the field.
1st and 10 for the Eagles, operating from their own 32 as we start the 4th. Screen pass intended for Eldra Buckley and incomplete right there. And Eldra Buckley is a guy who had some moments in the past, but there's a numbers game now at running back. But as we continue to talk Mike Kafka, he's a guy who played at Northwestern in the very competitive Big Ten, was able to keep them very competitive at times, and he's a big quarterback, 6'3", 225. But I think a lot of people have to be impressed with the Eagles, again, singing the praises of Howie Roseman and his staff. 4th-round pick, pretty good for a 4th round.
Yeah, and he also ran the ball quite a bit at Northwestern too. He's kind of a dual threat. He's a guy that you give him a lane, he could take it now.
And
here he is,
good
right
elusiveness,
now.
Yeah, exactly. He heard you, Baldy, and I'm telling you, he did it on cue right there, and really a good job there of avoiding Albert McCullen.
Now see, this is where Mike Vick has to get better like this, because Kafka's smart now. He's knowing that he's not going to take on these linebackers and defensive backs. He gets out of bounds. Thought Mike last year challenged too many linebackers and defensive backs on the sideline. He took too many hits that were unnecessary.
Mike Vick there in discussion with Deshaun Jackson. Of course, Deshaun Jackson will resume practicing, we're told, on Saturday, and look to see him in the next couple of exhibition games. Philadelphia Eagles, though, doing pretty well without him tonight. They're up 13-3. Time now for our Pepsi Max moment of the game, and big plays are always great moments. Michael Vick on the rollout. Riley Cooper just hesitating enough to bring that ball in, and just a great setup for the Brent Selleck touchdown. 7 points for the Philadelphia Eagles early on, and Michael Vick did a good job with the first unit, but Mike Kafka, check out the stats as we look at Vince Young. Kafka 11 of 17 for 128 yards, and he had an opportunity to add to those totals here in the fourth quarter. Vince Young, of course, a starter for so many years in Tennessee, now adjusting to a backup role here in Philadelphia. Third and 3. Kafka for the first down, and that's just the kind of nice job he's been doing all night with Rod Harper. Jeff Skversky has more on the former Titan, new Eagle, Vince Young.
Hey guys, yeah, Vince Young still learning this Eagles offense. It is very complex. He's trying to study, and as you can see maybe on his left wrist there, he's wearing the play chart so he can figure out exactly what plays are called. It's helping him as he's easing in here in Philadelphia. You know, he's spent parts of 6 years starting in Tennessee, and he's a 2-time Pro Bowler, but he's still trying to learn this offense, and having the play chart on that left wrist will help him do so as he gets acclimated here with Philadelphia with the Eagles. Guys, back upstairs to you.
Mike Kafka kind of keeping himself. Great job, Jeff. And really, that is the thing that I think Andy Reid brings to a lot of players coming from other teams, and that is that there's a certain standard here that the Eagles have established, and you live up to that standard. You have got to work hard, especially at that quarterback position.
Well, you've got to perform in practice now. I mean, you're not getting on the field for this team unless you know how to practice. It's a very good practicing team, and for Vince Young, just a good spot for him. It really is. I think he's going to learn from Mike. I think he's going to learn from Andy Reid and Marty Morningway. And I think he's got to become a better practice player. I don't think he was a good practice player in Tennessee. He's got to take it more serious, and he's got to be more diligent with it.
Come on, Baldy, we're talking about practice. But seriously,
I was wondering where you were, Hugh.
No, but seriously, you're talking about when you're running an offense, you know, it's a lot different than running defense. You're talking about defensive linemen. You go into the game, you might go into a game with like 6 to 8 plays. When you're an offensive lineman or you're the quarterback, the whole offensive playbook is open to you. And when the game is going fast, it would be smart to have that wristband on just to know what you want to run. It makes it a lot easier to run plays, and you don't run the clock down and lose those timeouts, those value timeouts at the end of the game.
Well, last year, Hugh, you know, they had a very good backup quarterback in Kevin Cobb. He helped to win 2 games against the 49ers and the Atlanta Falcons, and that really helped the Eagles win the NFC East last year.
Greg Cooper with the carry there. Rod Harper doing a nice job with the wide receiver block down the field. But I got the sense there that Hugh was singing the praises of the offensive linemen in this league, Baldy, and we know which union you belong to. Was he saying that the O-linemen have to work harder than his group did?
Well, because they have a lot more to learn. And we are not the athletes that Hugh was. We get out-athleted at every position on the offensive line.
Yeah, this is true, because you're talking about when you're playing defense, we're basically told to go out and just get after the quarterback. That's it. You don't really have to learn a whole lot. It doesn't take a whole lot of thinking to do that. But Baldy and those guys, you got different protections that the quarterback might call out or the center might call out, and you have to keep your head about you at all times.
Mike Kafka with a pass that had a little danger attached to it, went out there to Greg Cooper. It'll be short of the first down, and we'll have another chance to see Chas Henry. There are 2 Henrys, the kicker and the one who's the punter, with an extra E for the kicker, but Chas Henry will punt. And here we have the catch by Greg Cooper, but not enough for the first down. Hey, Hugh, just an update on the buffet tonight. I didn't get to see what kind of cookies you had because they were gone so quickly. Which kind did you have?
Well, it was a chocolate chip cookie, but you have to understand I've been doing a lot of work, and I did keep it light. You know, I did eat the grilled chicken, and I had the corn. That's healthy. That's a healthy meal.
Hugh, I like a guy that eats his cookies before the meal.
Well, the meal, that's the dessert before the actual meal. You got to have dessert, fellas. Come on. You got to have
Not
dessert.
everybody has it first, though, Hugh. I admire that.
Hugh Douglas and a cookie. Hey, Eagles fans, check this out. The Eagles Pro Shop has exclusive Eagles headwear not available anywhere else in Philadelphia. From flat brim, sideline, and classic style, shop the great selection of new headwear at the Eagles Pro Shop. There's some of it right there at Lincoln Financial Field or online at PhiladelphiaEagles.com. Baltimore Ravens, after the Chaz Henry punt, just got into the end zone. Are going to operate from their own 20, and Tyrod Taylor, the young man out of Va Tech, getting a lot of action. And there's something that Michael Vick had to learn coming out of Virginia Tech, and that is the slide, huh?
Yeah, well, Tyrod, these two guys now have been best friends. Howard Mudd and Jim Washburn, they rode their motorcycles across Africa last year, and here they are united. And, you know, they're taking advantage of Philadelphia and living here. They went to see Mary Poppins just recently down on Broad Street. You wouldn't think that Jim Washburn, who yells a lot of expletives every day to get his defensive linemen fired up, would be sitting there enjoying Mary Poppins. But those two guys, their wives, have taken advantage of the arts and really have enjoyed being here in Philadelphia.
Damian Perry there, Berry, excuse me, with the big pickup. And these are two guys, you know, when you see that shot of them in retirement, can't you just see them on a bass boat out fishing? Can't you see that too?
Well, they you know what? They're coaches. You know, they put them on the bass boat for a little bit, but they get very bored very quickly. These guys have been really the entertainment at training camp, listening to them fire up their troops, the banter back and forth. They're constantly talking to each other in between drills, and it's been fun out there.
Hey, as we watch the Baltimore Ravens again with some pretty good offense here, Laquan Williams. Hey, Hugh Douglas, during your long and distinguished career in the NFL, and I mean this seriously, both in characterizing this way and in asking this question, which coach did you have who just, as we look at Howard Mudd, just kept riding you and riding you and riding you?
You know, without a doubt, that coach was Tommy Brazier. And you talk about Jim Washburn, he reminds me of Tommy Brazier a lot.
Yeah.
A guy who would go out there and he would dog cuss you every day because he wanted you to play at your best. And he did. Under Tommy Brazier, went to 3 Pro Bowls. And you talk about the Howard Mudd, Jim Washburn connection. Iron sharpens iron, guys. And the only way that offensive line is going to get better is if they go against that defensive line and get after it every day. And they do a great job of getting these guys ready to go. Big interception.
Yeah, Cole Anderson on the sideline, and they're going to rule it inbounds. And the Eagles have got their 3rd interception of the evening.
Man, you got to be happy about that, guys. You know, you talk about this D-line. They've rolled out 3 different front fours tonight. And all three of those front fours were able to get pressure on the quarterback. You have to be happy about that if you're Jim Washburn.
Nice individual effort by Cole Anderson. So much depth, and Jim Harbaugh's brother, John Harbaugh, going to challenge it. We'll be back with the result. Don Tollefson, Brian Baldinger, Hugh Douglas, Jeff Skversky at Lincoln Financial Field, where John Harbaugh coached for such a long time as a brilliant Eagles assistant. He's thrown the challenge, and I think he's going to win this one, Bald. He threw the flag.
Well, Cole Anderson is trying to keep his feet in bounds, but that right foot, I think, gets onto the white stripe there before he can get that toe down in the ground. I think Harbaugh saw that. It was right on his sideline. And I think he challenged it, and I think he probably will win that challenge.
Now, one of the interesting things that's going to happen, Baldy, in the NFL this year is I mentioned Jim Harbaugh misspoke by a couple of letters there earlier, but the former Stanford coach now with the 49ers, he will face John Harbaugh, his brother, in the Ravens. I think it's a Thanksgiving night game. And I'm sure one of the things that will happen at that game is Jack Harbaugh, the father of these guys, maybe one of the greatest college coaches that nobody talks about, will be honored for having two sons become head coaches in this league.
It's amazing. It's truly the football family, you know, almost like the Ryan family, obviously, with Buddy and Rex and Rob, and the Harbaugh family. His father, longtime coach at Western Kentucky, very successful coach there. Grew up around the game.
After reviewing the play, the receiver did not get his 2nd foot down in bounds. It's an incomplete pass. It'll be 2nd and 10 on the 40-yard line. Baltimore is not charged a timeout.
But Juan Castillo will love the effort that Cole Anderson gave there. Hugh?
But guys, you're missing the biggest question that you have to ask yourself. On Thanksgiving Day, you got both of your sons playing. Everybody's supposed to be festive. It's a family day. If you're the dad, who do you root for? Who you rooting for?
You know what that? You know, Hugh. You know you can't take sides in that deal.
Well, you have to.
You can't.
You have to.
No, you hope that it's a tie. Come on.
You're the old ball coach. You know, you taught both your sons, and you know them better than anybody. So who do you think has the edge in that matchup?
You can't show favoritism.
But I'm just saying, Baldy, who has the favorite? Who has that edge in that matchup?
Probably whoever needs the W the most. Knowing Jack Harbaugh, he'll look at the records of the two squads, and that'll probably make the determination for him, Hugh, huh?
Maybe the mom will take one side, the dad will take the other.
Hey, you got to do something, fellas. It's Thanksgiving.
Baltimore Ravens regain possession at the Eagles 40, and they're going to keep it on the ground. Hunter Cantwell now in a quarterback for the Ravens. And Hugh, real quickly, the first ever game I did in Philadelphia was an Army-Navy game in 1974, and maybe Jack Harbaugh will have to do what then President Gerald Ford did. You spend one half on the Army side, then you walk across the field and spend one half on the Navy side. But that's going to be a great dilemma. But Hugh, how proud does he have to be of how these guys have just raised it to another level, being NFL head coaches at the same time, huh?
I tell you, as a father, you know, I don't know what that feels like, but you have to be proud as punch. You know, you had one son who went to Stanford, who was a coach at Stanford, had a lot of success there. Nice going to San Francisco. And then you have John, the way he worked himself up through the ranks. Started out as a special teams coach, became the secondary coach at one point, and now he's the head coach of the Baltimore Ravens. And this team that he's coaching is really, really good. So when that matchup, you best believe when that game is on television, I'm going to be watching it.
Well, I'll tell you one thing right now. Juan Castillo and the Eagles assistant coaches, they're working and very, very animated. As we mentioned, Michael Zordich down there. And Juan Castillo was asking us, Baldy, at the meeting the other day, did we have any tips as announcers for losing your voice? He's already lost his voice a couple of times in camp.
Yeah, but it comes back pretty quickly. It's back by the next day.
Billy Cundiff with the long 55-yard attempt for the Baltimore Ravens. Billy Cundiff has a lot of leg, but that's going to be short. And the Philadelphia Eagles, with 8:55 to go in the first preseason game of the NFL preseason, maintain a 13-3 lead on a beautiful night.
Brought to you by Sovereign Bank, official bank of the Philadelphia Eagles. Member FDIC. Bud Light, it's the sure sign of a good time. Here we go. Sports Authority, official sporting goods retailer of the Philadelphia Eagles. 7-Eleven, proud partner of the Philadelphia Eagles. Oh, thank heaven. And by Thomas Jefferson University Hospitals, the official hospital of the Philadelphia Eagles.
We are back on a beautiful night as we saw the skyline in Philadelphia, and a pretty darn good night so far for the Philadelphia Eagles, up 13-3. Andy Reid able to smile about things with Michael Vick, who had a nice first series, and then it was turned over to Vince Young. And this has just been one of those nights we looked forward to the last couple of weeks, Brian. Boy, is it nice to have football back. Wow.
Yeah, you know, and that relationship has just continued to flourish. Mike Vick and Andy Reid, I mean, what a difference a year makes. Last year at this time, Mike Vick was just running the Wildcat for a few plays, and look at just as a backup. Here he is, the team is being built around him just 1 year later right now.
Greg Cooper taking that handoff from the fourth Eagles quarterback, Gerard Johnson, out of Texas A&M, and one of the Eagles is down on the ground. And of course, the one thing you most want to avoid in the preseason is that is big King Dunlap, one of the backup tackles, but a guy who has a role on this team. We'll be back to see what his situation is. Eagles up 13. All right, let's take a look now at the hard hits of the game presented by Sovereign Bank, and the Eagles providing plenty of them, Brian.
Yeah, well, they've got, you know, the front four did their job tonight. You know, they got busy. They were relentless. They hit the quarterback. They forced 2 turnovers now, 2 interceptions. And I think that's, you know, that's what you want from your front. Your front in this defense is geared towards getting to the quarterback and really relentless chasing. If you get tired, you tap yourself out, you put a fresh body in. They should play 7 or 8 defensive linemen every Sunday during the season. And that man, Jim Washburn, has been excellent at developing, you know, a guy like Albert Hainsworth. Kyle Vandenbosch has come through there. There's been a number of really good players. Jaquay Parker was there in Tennessee before he came to Philadelphia.
King Dunlap able to walk off under his own power, and you saw the stats there. The size of Gerard Johnson out of Texas A&M, very impressive. He's going to swing it to Greg Cooper. Hugh Douglas.
And you talk about impressive and how impressive the D-line looked tonight. You know, they got a lot of sacks on the quarterback. They put a lot of pressure, but they also made the offensive line jump. And as you know, Baldy, that's just as good as a sack because you lose yards in that situation. They got this offensive line thinking if they can do that all year long, this defense is going to be pretty good.
You know, you started tonight in the open saying that Jim Washburn, he preaches rush, crush, and close. He also says, don't dance, advance. No time to read, Hugh. Get after that quarterback. That's the name of the game in this defense.
You know what I would have loved? I wish I could turn the clock back a few years, Baldy, so I could play for this guy, because I'm telling you, just the way that he has these guys playing tonight has me charged.
Rod Harper with the catch there on the pass from Gerard Johnson. And Trent Cole, talking about Jim Washburn, guys, said that he's not reading this year in the defense. He's attacking, as you're saying. He's attacking.
Well, not only that, but we saw Trent Cole in past years under Jim Johnson, and then, you know, after that, really drop into coverage and zone pressures. They want their front four to rush the passer. I mean, they have that package in there, the zone pressures and zone blitzes. But I think Trent Cole is going to benefit in this defense, especially having a guy like Jason Babin coming off the other side and Cullen Jenkins inside. This might be Trent Cole's best year as a pro this year.
Chas Henry again showing a big leg, but once again that one goes into the end zone. So the Baltimore Ravens with 6:54, and we got a flag, so we're going to stay right here. The Baltimore Ravens, we're going to get the ball at the 20, but let's see what the laundry is about. And you know, you were talking about Trent Cole. When you get Jason Babin, and then you also bring in Cullen Jenkins.
Personal foul, face mask, kicking team. 15-yard penalty will be enforced from the 20-yard line, first down.
All right, so we'll see the Ravens at the 35, but you're adding 19.5 sacks just in the addition of Babin and Jenkins coming over to join the Eagles. Eagles protecting a 13-3 lead, just under 7 to go. All right, let's join Jeff Skversky from Action News on the sidelines. Jeff?
All right, thanks, guys. Deshaun Jackson, of course, is not playing tonight, but before the game, he was running routes with Michael Vick, and afterwards, Deshaun told me that it will not take long for him to get his timing down with Michael Vick. His legs feel great out there. He's worked out every day in California during that holdout of his, and he doesn't think it'll take very long to get the timing down. He is not playing tonight. He expects to practice for the first time on Saturday, and he hopes to play next week on Thursday against Pittsburgh. Guys, back up to you.
And of course, Jeremy Maclin, as Jeff knows, also not playing tonight, still undergoing medical tests, including ones now in St. Louis for a so far mysterious condition that has kept him from participating in any way, shape, or form. All right, Tyrod Taylor, after the penalty, starting from his own 35-yard lines, gets it out to Chris Wilson for a big pickup for the Baltimore Ravens. I'm telling you, Baldy, and of course our prayers are with Jeremy Maclin. He had mononucleosis. Andy says we just don't know what it is, and he's been tested here. He's now being tested back in Missouri where he's from, but you hope Jeremy, for his health, the same way as Mike Patterson, is going to be okay. Forget about football, but if you have all these guys and add Steve Smith, the receiving core will be just incredible.
But you know what, though, Tolly? I mean, for anybody, not just a football player, when you don't know what an illness is, there's nothing that eats at you more. The anxiety. I've talked to Jeremy. You know, he's down a lot of weight right now. He doesn't know, and I don't care who you are. When you can't find out what the cause of your problem is, that adds a lot of stress to the whole situation now.
And you got the best doctors in the country working on the Philadelphia Eagles staff, Dr. Gary Dorsheimer over at Penn, and these are the top medical authorities. They get second opinions from all over, so we just hope the Maclin situation improves for the better sometime soon. Tyrod Taylor scrambling on a 1st and 10, and he's going to pick up another first down. Chased out of bounds on the play right there by Brandon Pegues of the Philadelphia Eagles.
You know, we've been watching Tyrod Taylor run for his life, you know, since he's been in there in the first quarter. And the reason why he's playing so much is Mark Bulger, their backup quarterback a year ago, just up and retired 10 days ago. And it was very unexpected. Now, the Ravens haven't filled that spot. But, you know, there's a team that is expected to compete for the AFC North title, and they may be looking at Tyrod Taylor backing up Joe Flacco right now.
Tyrod Taylor with the quick swing out there to Justin Harper. A couple of more yards. Pretty impressive drive here. But getting back to the Eagles situation, we also again send our prayers out to Mike Patterson, because that was such a scary moment up at Lehigh. The doctors now much more optimistic when they eventually were. But when you're dealing with the brain, you're dealing with the flow of blood and blood vessels and all that, you want to err on the side of extreme caution.
Well, it was really an amazing. He had a seizure, you know, on a non-football drill just in transition. And it just so happened that Andy Reid saw it. And he'd been on the field when a player had a seizure before. And he knew exactly what to do to get the player out of harm's way, Rick Burkhalter, the trainer, was right there, the team doctor. They actually literally acted exactly the way you're supposed to do in a clinic within 30 seconds of Mike Patterson having that seizure.
Just kudos across the board to Coach Reed, to Rick Burkhalter, to the medical staff. And also, I was so touched at the time of that very sad moment with these big, tough football players, and you were one of them in this league, Baldy. They were just really, really down, really, really worried.
Well, yeah, I mean, it scared everybody. I mean, you know, they formed kind of a circle around Mike Patterson, and they acted immediately. And look, I think they'll use all the precaution necessary before Mike is on the field.
That is just a couple of guys there. As was both newcomer Charlie Noonan and last year's rookie Daniel Tionessim, who came in and put the pressure on. That's now 5 sacks for the Philadelphia Eagles defense with a lot of different personnel involved. Baltimore Ravens still driving. We're under 4 minutes, 2nd and 15, and there's more pressure. There's going to be a flag down on the play. Tyrod Taylor looking to the end zone. There was a lot that happened there. He comes back across the field, gets the ball to Damian Berry. He is shook up on the play. And there were just all sorts of bodies. That's Jamar Adams. And just a wild play, Baldy.
Well, I think Philip Hunt, who was playing for the Winnipeg Blue Bombers last year, might have been offsides on the play.
Number 72 defense. Illegal shift. 17-14. Number 17 and number 14 moved and did not reset. The penalties offset. Replay second down.
Guys, you're talking about pass rush. O'Neal Cousins, the young tackle out of UTEP, he is getting a lot of work tonight. Teal Nassim is out there. He's working really hard. He's seen about 3 different guys tonight, and he's had trouble with all 3 of them.
Well, you know, Teo is a guy, as they call him in Philadelphia, is a guy I think that could flourish in his system, Hugh. Didn't really get much of an opportunity as a rookie out of Washington State last year, but I think he's going to get a chance in this defense and this system right now.
Yeah, you're talking about when you just can get back and get at the quarterback, Baldy, it makes your job so much easier.
Boy, Tyrod Taylor under extreme pressure again. And you talked about Mark Bulger. I mean, you know, talk about the 3 corners, this incredible trio of guys. Asante was here. Nnamdi comes in. DRC comes in the trade. But if you get a pass rush and you have great cover corners, boy, that's just a difficult defense to move the ball against.
Well, let's face it. Sometimes you can only play 2 corners at a time. And right now, that's Nnamdi along with Asante Samuel. Nobody has more interceptions in this league than Asante does over the last 5 years. He's a playmaker. I hope that he doesn't get traded. I hope he stays here as a Philadelphia Eagle, because I think they're going to find a way to play, all 3 of them, a great game.
Baldy. Talk about living up to your commentary and Hugh's commentary right there.
Dude.
When the helmet is removed to you, that is didn't you used to call that a snot knocker?
Baldy, that's what you call a decleater.
Yeah.
When your helmet comes off like that, that's what you call a decleater. I mean, and I'm saying, like I was saying, guys, all day long, you got good coverage, and having Nnamdi Aswa, DRC on this team, that makes all the other corners better. Because when you see these guys practice and the way that they play press coverage, as a young guy, you try to emulate what they're doing. And you see this team all around playing better up front and on the back end.
Philip Hunt with some pressure as well. Billy Cundiff with the field goal attempt. It is good, but I'm telling you, Tyrod Taylor, welcome to the National Football League.
Welcome to the NFL, son.
Absolutely. And boy, I'll tell you, he'll still be feeling that on the bus ride back to Baltimore. Jim Washburn's defensive line, boy, they are just doing some amazing, amazing things tonight. And, of course, injuries, what you most want to avoid in a game. We saw King Dunlap walk off. Let's get the updates from Action News' Jeff Skaversky.
All right, thanks, guys. Right tackle King Dunlap is leaving the game. He's heading to the locker room with a left knee injury. He will not return. He is walking off on his own power. And speaking of offensive linemen, Finuke Tupu, he left as well with a left knee injury. He will not return here in the final 3 minutes and 10 seconds. Back up to the booth.
Jeff, you did that perfectly, and we hope he's okay. But how long did Jeff wait tonight to be able to say Finuke?
Yeah, I love that. Finuke Tupu.
It's just one of the great names.
Yeah.
All right, 9 plays, 49 yards, just to give you the stats on the Ravens drive there. But The Philadelphia Eagles sideline still working. Andy and Marty absolutely coaching them up.
And you know, Tyler, the operative word there is working. That's what this is tonight. It's a night of work. It's not about winning the game or losing the game. It's about taking the techniques and the fundamentals that they've been drilling now for 2 weeks at Lehigh and taking them to the field. And when you're trying to build a new defense, you build on every bit of positive play that you can get. This is a good start here tonight for this young defense.
Another touchback. Chad Hall making the obvious decision right there, as we've seen plenty tonight. Hey, are you ready to experience Turkey Hill's delicious new family attraction? Learn how ice cream is made. Brainstorm your own ice cream flavor. Milk a cow, make your own TV commercial, and design your own ice cream packaging. Adorable stuff there. Call 1-888-9-TOUR-TH or visit turkeyhillexperience.com. Hey, down there on the field, Hugh, can you finish off that touchdown Sunday thing in one sitting, the half gallon?
You know what? I really try not to eat too much ice cream because I got to watch my figure. I still got to keep this thing somewhat in game shape.
Hey,
but
Hugh,
every now and then I will partake in a little bit of ice cream. So yeah, I can probably polish off a little bit.
Hey, Hugh, that 3 chins on TV is a bad look now.
Yeah,
okay?
it really is.
Keep
Bo.
it like
you know what I mean?
You're doing a good job of keeping it trim.
And you know what? It's a bad look when you're a former defensive or offensive lineman, and it looks like you've been eating honey baked ham since you retired.
Just hanging
all
off
day
you.
long. It's not a good look.
Hey, Brian, do you think at any point Hugh Douglas in his adult life has been referred to with the phrase keeping his girlish figure?
Not often.
Not likely. Derek Locke on the carry there, free agent out of Kentucky. And the thing that I always find interesting, and I respect coaches who respect every player on their roster in the preseason, and you try to give guys unlikely to make your team that opportunity to get the all-important tape to show somebody else.
Well, I mean, you're always out there. I mean, you're a lot of these young kids, there's 90 guys on this roster right now. So a lot of these young kids probably won't make a team like the Eagles. But you put it out there, you don't know. There's going to be a lot of players come Labor Day this year as they're trying to settle their final rosters that are going to move from team to team. There's still a lot of good free agents that haven't been signed.
Gerard Johnson at Texas A&M was able to use his legs an awful lot. That time under the pressure from Derek Simmons. He goes down as we wind it under right at 3 minutes right now in the fourth quarter, 13-6. And Hugh, I'll start with you if I may. The one thing that you're going to leave here tonight saying, gee, this is something oh so positive that the Eagles can build on.
You know, I love the pass rush. I always think that there's something a little bit better you could do. You saw a lot of quarterbacks escape to the outside on this defense. I think that you're going to have to shore that up a little bit. Linebackers have to probably do a better job of reading and reacting to the run. But hey, that's something they have a lot to work with, but they did a great job tonight. But you can always get better on defense.
You have your challenge flag, red for Andy. You have your yellow flag for the officials. And then did you see Hugh's white towel? And I don't think it has ever been used to really record surrender. It is a sweat towel. That's exactly right. Good look down there. All right. The Eagles 3rd and 19 for Gerard Johnson. They're going to give the ball to Derek Locke once again. He'll take it up. Some good hard yards at the end there, up to the 24. He's going to end up just about 6 yards short of the first down. Hey, let's check out what else is going on Football is Back night. The New England Patriots, who have gotten a lot of credit for perhaps doing, one of the better jobs, but nobody's done a better job in free agency than the Eagles. They're up 40-12 on the Jacksonville Jaguars. San Diego up 16 Seattle Seahawks, and Denver 9-3 over one of Baldy's former squads, the Dallas Cowboys. And how shocked, and I heard the reports. By the way, interesting stat in that game we're being told, Tim Tebow 6 for 7, 93 yards so far, and so much controversy about the situation with him at quarterback out there in Denver. But Jerry Jones seemed absolutely befuddled by Nnamdi Asomugha not going to the Cowboys. And I really get the feeling that these other 3 squads and the Redskins I just don't see being that much of a factor. But the Giants and the Cowboys in the division, they just are saying, wow, what was that freight train that went by us?
Well, I mean, the Eagles were prepared. And I think a lot of teams were sitting on their hands, and they weren't prepared like the Eagles were. The Eagles upgraded the roster. It doesn't ensure anything. They still got to put it all together. But they've upgraded the talent. And let's face it, Jerry wanted Nnamdi in Dallas. They had a place for him. Rob Ryan was his old coordinator in Oakland, now coordinating the defense in Dallas. So, by the way, Rob Ryan has thrown a few shots out there towards the Eagles and what they have done. okay? And Mike Vick addressed some of those last week, saying coaches should just coach. They shouldn't talk. I actually agreed with Mike about that.
And not only that, guys, you're talking about the beauty part of playing in the NFL right now. In any season, there's always a new beginning.
Penalty from the
You
end
know,
of the kick.
I would love to know exactly what the discussion was that was going on right there. You had Deshaun Jackson kind of holding court, sitting on the bench. Asante, who's always cracking people up. Mike Vick and Shady are right there. And you just get the feeling that the subject might be hard to pin down. What do you think it is?
They're talking about what they're going to do after this preseason game because we played very well tonight, and we're just going to go unwind a little bit. Hey, listen, they've been up in Bethlehem for a couple weeks. I mean, we've all been up there. It's not like a mecca of great places to go, not a lot of great restaurants. They're going to enjoy Philadelphia. They're going to enjoy Philadelphia. But the point that I was trying to make, when you talk about the division and be it when the season starts anew, everybody feels like they have a chance to win. You hear Rex Grossman down there in Washington. He said they're the team that's going to sneak up on everybody. Now, I don't believe that to be the case, but that's the beauty part of being in the NFL. Everybody has a chance when the season starts.
Exactly. Tyrod Taylor with another nice toss out to Anthony Allen. And Hugh, I got to differ, man. I am a huge Bethlehem, PA guy. You stop by for a burger and a beverage at the Tally Ho. You get to go to some of the restaurants. I love Music Fest. Hugh, you just need a tour of Bethlehem. I'm going to get the mayor to give you one, man.
Listen, I love Bethlehem. But you can walk through Bethlehem and see basically everything.
It just reminds you of training camp. That's what it reminds you of.
Yeah, basically. You don't want to do that. And you can walk through Bethlehem. It's a great place to visit. Wouldn't want to stay there. You want to enjoy Philadelphia. You want to see the fans. You want to feel the fans' love. And, you know, there's no greater place to be. That's why I'm still here.
You know, I think this could go down the road of another great Lehigh Valley moment, and I have so many friends there. But remember when Billy Joel came out with the song Allentown?
Oh, sure.
They tried to turn the tables by giving him the key to the city. I want Hugh Douglas to get the key to the city of Bethlehem, PA, where the Eagles traded.
You know what? I think after that it probably won't happen anytime soon there, Tolly.
But I'm telling you, they're great hosts, and they do a great job, the Lehigh University staff, of hosting our camp. And again, kudos to the Eagles organization for their big military day coming up at Lehigh when we honor the men and women who wear the really important uniforms. All right, we're going to be coming up shortly on the 2-minute warning. It'll be 13-6, and now it's getting even more animated. I think that might be, as Hugh said, the prospective nightlife discussion between us.
That's a locker room debate right there on the sidelines.
They're not talking about the 9 technique, I guarantee you. That's not what's going on right now. Here is what's going on. We're having a great time on the Eagles television network. Eagles fans have got to be pleased. Let's check things from way, way up above. The beautiful city of Philadelphia Club, Philadelphia, PA, including the Pyramid Club, Bethlehem in the far distance. Eagles.
Shady McCoy and Ronnie Brown are both in. Shotgun. 3rd and goal from the 3. Vick back, fires, and it is complete. And it is Brent Selleck for the touchdown. Vick took the snap and threw immediately to Brent Selleck, who was just across the goal line.
Our good friend Merrill Reese, the legendary Merrill Reese. And you know what, Baldy? He found the Asamoah on the golf course with his beautiful wife, Cindy, a great school teacher. And his son texted Cindy or called Cindy. And Merrill just didn't believe his own son. He didn't think he had gotten to the Eagles, man. So.
You know, and look, it's great. You know, football's back. Merrill's back. Merrill's calls are back. I mean, we all have that to look forward to in Philadelphia. And let's face it. I mean, there's free agency, and then there's Mike Quick, of course, on the left in his 13th year, joining Merrill Reese, longtime radio voices here of the Eagles throughout Andy Reid's tenure. But let's face it, there was free agency, and then who was going to get Nnamdi? And when the Eagles got Nnamdi, that's when the talk really exploded around the league. Like, nobody thought that we had a chance or we were in that race, especially after the trade of Kevin Cobb to Arizona for Dominic Rodgers-Cromartie and next year's second-round pick.
And I don't think Nnamdi, who we spent a lot of time talking to up at camp, because why wouldn't you want to talk to a guy who I think when you interview him is clearly one of the most thoughtful interviewees I've ever been
He should interview
around.
himself. He could interview
He
himself
could.
better than we can.
But he listens to your question. He's thoughtful with his answer. He's just a brilliant guy. He is so proud, as he should be, of going to 3 consecutive Pro Bowls. Justin Harper on the catch there on the pass from Tyrod Taylor. But he's also extremely proud. He won the Byron Whizzer White Award for being just such a great force in the community off the field. And I already talked to him briefly at Lehigh. He's going to get involved in some of the inner city programs, some of the mentoring programs that EYP and other people I work with. But you know what? Jim Washburn is not only a great coach, he's still showing some toughness on the sideline. We'll get to that in just a moment. But Tyrod Taylor impressing again against the real Eagles understudies on defense. Check this out, Baldy and you.
The play before here. Jim Washburn on the sidelines wasn't able to quite get out of the way. Took a hit from, it's kind of what he wants his defensive lineman to do. Joe Paterno just took a hit.
Out of bounds right there. Yeah, and our thoughts again and prayers go out to Joe, who has returned to practice, but he got his arm banged up and a little bit of a hairline fracture in the pelvis, we understood initially. Justin Harper with the near score right there. But I guarantee you, there's a good chance, and we couldn't really see the end of it because it was blocked by other players and coaches, but Jimmy Washburn not only jumped up, he probably said something. He probably said something to the Raven. Yeah, he had a few moments.
Yeah, that puts out of bounds. Good call. Good call on the sidelines there.
A few moments of commentary for the Baltimore Ravens. All right, we're down to the final seconds here of the football game, 85 to be exact. And Jimmy, for a moment there, is thinking that, hey, I'm glad I came here. I'm going to tough it out. And I think he may cut that up and just show that to the players.
He might show his toughness. He's also probably cussing himself out for not being able to get out of the way.
Oh, that is good stuff on a good all-around night here on the Eagles Television Network. Tyrod Taylor, again, broken tackle. Laquan Williams right there. And the Ravens driving right here, trying to tie up this football game. Here it is.
Oh, you know what? He should have kept going the way he was.
Oh, man.
He turned back into it.
Tyrod Taylor with the throw. It goes off of Laquan Williams. It is caught again out of bounds, so there will not be the touchdown.
That's a rookie mistake, lining up, catching the ball out of bounds, not knowing where he's at.
And he's set out of bounds. Watch this right here. There he goes. That's just a very, very nice grab there. Brandon Jones did get the toes down, but
like, dang, I'm out of bounds.
A lot of white. Great facial expression by the young man there. Here's Andy thinking about 101 to go. You know what he's thinking.
Yeah, he doesn't want overtime.
That's exactly right.
That's what every player on the sideline.
That's exactly right.
No overtime.
The Ravens might be rooting. Oh, no. Here we go. It's becoming the funny season right now. Wilson there on the offsides.
False start. Number 64, the center, double clutch.
But he was drawn off. So
down.
that is going to be something that will please the defensive coaches there. Jim Washburn talking about it still.
He's not
shaking
bothered.
stuff off and coaching.
Yeah.
Same. Yeah, they do not want Castillo, as much as he loves coaching, they do not want to see this thing go to overtime.
They're ready to watch the film tomorrow and get back to Lehigh and get ready for a big practice on Saturday. Nobody ever was supposed to do good in their first preseason game.
Tyrod Taylor back almost to the 30. Oh, man. Little volleyball action there with Jamar Adams, the free agent out of Michigan. And once again, the defense is holding right here and trying to prevent overtime. I get the feeling that not only are all the Eagles coaches and players rooting for a non-overtime, do you think there might be a Raven or two over there saying, guys, this doesn't really count. I'm not too concerned if we lose this thing.
Absolutely. Yeah. They've all got enough work. They want to get out of here without any injuries.
Hugh is jumping up and down, cheering on that defense for the Eagles.
I think Hugh wants to get up to Bethlehem.
Because you know what it is? It's in pressure moments like this when your team is looking at you, even though this is the preseason, you got to step up. You got to come up with a big play.
Well, let's face it. Last year, they were terrible on defense in the red zone, Q.
Yes,
one
they
of
were.
the things they wanted to fix, one of the reasons why they've made a change on defense, and even though this is at the end of a meaningless first preseason game, you set the tone defending your goal.
Yeah, and you talk about an old ball coach and how they don't want to lose a game. Teal Nasai was on the sideline a few minutes ago. Now he's back in the game because they want to get some pass rush. And he's been beating O'Neal Cousins like a drum today. So let's see what Teal Nasai lines up at on this play.
Okay, number 52 lining up at right end here. Hugh, we'll take an eye on him.
And number 79, the aforementioned O'Neal Cousins, who I think he just glanced over, saw who's back in the game. It's like, oh, no, here we go, man. This will be good stuff. 52 seconds left in regulation. 13-6, the Philadelphia Eagles. 4th and goal for the Baltimore Ravens, just outside the 10. Tyrod Taylor lofting it, came awfully close to Justin Harper, but you know how we said at the start, football's back, now we can charge right into saying no overtime.
Well, here's the pressure here. Here they come. I mean, they get Jamar Adams coming with a great hit right there, along with the rookie Roll out of Ohio State. Ohio State's captain the last couple of years. Got a good hit on Taylor. Boy, that ball still got through, though.
That got very close to the score.
Yes.
Roll, of course, you were talking before about the Harbaugh family and Greg Lloyd and the Rex Ryan, Rob Ryan, Buddy Ryan connection,
yes.
but Roll part of that amazing family of predominantly secondary guys, but at least he's still a defender.
Related to Samari Roll and Myron Roll, the Rhodes Scholar over in England
Exactly.
right now.
Well, it's take a knee time for Gerard Johnson. And let's take a look at when it gets for real time in the National Football League. Let's take a look at the Eagles. They start out, Baldy, with 2 road games. Steve Spagnuolo, a former assistant, as you mentioned, part of that coaching tree of Andy Reid. Then they go to Atlanta. The New York Giants come in here for what will be a very emotional opening home game and also an NFC East game. Then the 49ers, then 2 more road games. So 4 out of 6 on the road before coming home for the Cowboys and the Bears. But I'm telling you, with the talent they have added and the coaching talent they have added, I feel pretty darn good about where this football team is going to be come September 11th.
And let's face it, that's what the next month is all about. The next month is putting this team together, making the decisions, and keeping that man, Mike Vick, under a full moon here tonight, healthy and getting him ready. Supporting him with great talent, the young guns, getting those guys in here, and and giving him all the weapons that he needs.